Good morning. Welcome back to Planet Doug Behind the Scenes, and this episode is for July 9th, 2025. It's about 9:30 in the morning, cup of coffee on the go. And I have a few things I want to talk about today. I've got some Planet Doug drama, a couple of stories there, things going on in my sort of personal life. And then I've got a Planet Doug YouTube video story to talk about. Some other YouTubers that I've been following, I'm going to talk about their videos, all my thoughts about them. In a pop culture roundup, I think I just have one show that I want to talk about called Invasion. And I'll get into that a lot more later on. And then who knows, maybe some other things will crop up along the way, but that's the basic lineup. Oh, technology, yes. I do have a GPU technology story to talk about as well. So yeah, let's dive into all of this. The first Planet Doug drama story is your fault, commenter's fault, because it's all about monetizing this YouTube channel. Because I have the Planet Doug YouTube channel, and I think of that as the main channel, and it is monetized. I monetized it 3 or 4 years ago. On YouTube, if you don't know about this, you have to reach a certain threshold before you're allowed to monetize. You have to have, I think the current rules are 1,000 subscribers, and then you have to have like 4,000 watch hours of your videos within the past year or the past 6 months. I haven't really looked into the details. In terms of Planet Doug, when I monetized, it was way above those levels already, so that wasn't an issue. More than enough subscribers, more than enough watch time. And then for this one as well, behind the scenes, it's over 1,000 subscribers, not by much, but it is over 1,000. And in terms of watch hours, as far as I know, it's above the minimum limits. So I could have monetized this channel a long time ago, but I just never got around to it for two reasons. Reason one, I'm scared to death of anything to do with official anything, payments or banks. I feel like if I make any changes at all, it's going to lead to a disaster. Something is going to go wrong. Right now, Planet Doug is monetized, and by some sort of miracle, it actually works. It doesn't earn a lot of money, obviously, but the small amount that it does earn, it gets deposited to my bank account in Canada on a monthly basis. And I don't know how it works. I don't know why it works. Occasionally, YouTube will send me something like, oh, we've made changes to the Canadian tax policy, and you have to fill out this and do this and click on this. And I have no idea what they're talking about. I never understand any of it. All I do is just take a deep breath and just try to figure it out and think, okay, what do they want me to click on? I don't know what it is or why I'm clicking on it, but what is the right thing to do? And then I just go through the steps that they suggest, and then I cross my fingers, and did I destroy everything? Because I remember when I monetized Planet Doug, was it even called Planet Doug back then? It may have still been the Cycling Canadian. I can't remember now. I kind of miss that name, oddly enough. It's kind of weird. But anyway, when I monetized, it turned into one of my technology adventures that went on for weeks, like week after week, and so much work and so much research, because right out of the gate, it didn't work. Everybody else said, oh, monetizing is easy. You just go click, click, and you're monetized. But right out of the gate, I ran into a problem with Planet Doug. There was something wrong with my AdSense, because you've got YouTube, and then the money-making side of things is called AdSense. That controls all of YouTube products. So they could be putting ads on your website. They could be putting ads anywhere, and all of it is funneled through AdSense. YouTube is just one part of AdSense. And then the rule is you can only have one AdSense account or something like that. That seemed to have been the problem back then. And then I kind of went, okay, let's monetize Planet Doug. And I went, okay, link it with my AdSense account. And then alarm bells went off all over the place. There were red flags saying, oh, you have multiple AdSense accounts or something, and this is connected to that, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you've got to remove this, and you've got to disconnect. And I had no idea what they were talking about because I didn't know anything about AdSense. They kept saying, you have other Google products using AdSense, and it was causing all kinds of conflicts and issues. And I had no clue what they were talking about at any point, like nothing. I read and I read and I read, and they sent me to this page and that page, and I'm scanning, I'm asking friends of mine, nobody knows. And weeks went by, and eventually something happened, and I managed to monetize Planet Doug. And then what they had to do is send you a code, because maybe because it was the first time that I was doing it, I don't know, but they have to verify a bunch of stuff. And as part of the verification process, they have to confirm that you're a real human being and you're from the country you say you are from. And oddly enough, in the modern age, still, the main way to do that is with something physical. So YouTube had to send me a code to my address in Canada in an envelope, like a sealed secret agent code coming in an envelope for your eyes only. So of course I had to get someone in Canada, my brother, who monitors my mail, and he had to get that envelope when it showed up, open the envelope and tell me the code, because I was in Malaysia at the time, and then I enter the code into YouTube. And so, it took a long time, tons of confusion, chaos, total misunderstanding of everything. I had no idea what I was doing. And then in the end, it actually worked. So I'm very gun shy. So when it came to Planet Doug behind the scenes, reaching the minimum thresholds for monetization, I was very reluctant to monetize it because it doesn't make any money anyway, so what's the point? But at the same time, I was worried that I was going to screw up Planet Doug by linking another YouTube channel to my AdSense account. Am I allowed to have two YouTube channels linked to the same AdSense account? Am I going to have to get a new code if I connect behind the scenes to my AdSense account? Is it going to automatically disconnect Planet Doug? I didn't know, and there's no way for me to find out these things because the language is never very clear in this. So anyway, I just never got around to it, but then people often ask me, though. There was a comment just this morning that I was reading where someone said, oh, I've been watching a bunch of your videos on behind the scenes, and I noticed there's never any ads. So like what's going on there? Hadn't you thought about monetizing? And I wrote in my reply basically what I just said. I just never got around to it, and I'm scared of doing it. But because I had that in my mind, this morning, as I was drinking coffee number one, I logged into behind the scenes, and then I went down to the money tab, the earn tab, or the earn page, whatever it's called. And it looks very simple now. Like back in the old days, monetization was separate from YouTube. You did it in AdSense or something, but now they've kind of moved the menu system into YouTube itself. It looks much more user-friendly. 3 stages, boom, boom, boom. So I thought, I'm in a good mood this morning. I'm feeling lucky. I had some good news yesterday I was feeling good about. So yeah, I clicked on the first button. Okay, start the process. Let's see what happens. And step number 1 was I had to read the agreement. A very long technical legal agreement about what they pay you, how they pay you, why they pay you, and all the reasons why you're not going to get paid, all the copyright stuff. I mean, you'd have to be a lawyer to read through that thing. Anyway, I did read it, I scanned it, I skimmed it, I read a whole bunch of it, and in the end, of course, understanding it is pointless. You have to sign it or nothing happens. I mean, you don't have a choice in the matter. So even understanding this document is kind of silly. It's It's just a formality, but then you have to scan through the whole thing, and down at the bottom there's a little checkbox. I have read, understood, and agree to these terms. And I'm like, well, yeah, duh, what else am I going to do? Tell YouTube, oh, no. On page 12, paragraph 9, subsection L, I need you to change this sentence, and then I'll sign it. Come on. So you click the box and you move on with your life. And then the next one was connecting it to your AdSense. And this one was the one where all the fear came up. My heart starts pounding. I don't even dare look at the screen. I'm like closing my eyes like I'm watching a monster movie, I can only look at the screen through my fingers, it's like, I don't dare look because I don't understand it. Still, AdSense, I don't get it. And then it said something about, okay, you have to link this to your AdSense account, but it isn't talking about it in the language that I was hoping to see. I was hoping to see a very natural human style communication where it says, oh, hi Doug, we see that you have Planet Doug YouTube channel and it is linked with your AdSense account. So it looks like you want to link your second YouTube channel to your AdSense account. And yes, we can do that for you, and it won't cause any problems. Yes, you can have 2 YouTube channels connected to the same AdSense account. It will not conflict in any way, and we're happy to do this. Or, something like speak to me in language that I understand, like they recognize who I am. Okay, we get it. You're a dummy. You already have a YouTube account connected to AdSense. Now you're connecting a second YouTube channel to the same AdSense account. Yes, no, we can do that for you. But it doesn't read that way. It doesn't even mention YouTube. It just talks about Google products and language that I don't understand. But what you have to do is select the proper account. And now already I'm panicking because I'm like, what do you mean? Why would I have to select anything? I've only got one. But anyway, I click on the button and it shows me 2 different Google accounts. And this is also a complete mystery to me. I have my main one, but then for some reason I have a second one that was created as an unintended consequence of doing something else in Google that I don't understand what happened or what I did. But anyway, it's sitting there, but my main one is sitting there, and I'm thinking, well, I'll click on the main one and let's see what happens. So I did that, and then I got some messages saying, all right, you have made changes to your Google product platform with monetize. It was like all this language about I have made changes to my Google products associated with my AdSense account. Like at no point did it say, okay, we have added Planet Doug we have linked Planet Doug behind the scenes to your AdSense account, and you now have 2 YouTube channels connected to your AdSense account. Congratulations. Nothing like that. The language was just bewildering to me. I have no idea what they meant talking about Google product, and I wanted reassurance that, okay, I've connected behind the scenes, but Planet Doug, the main channel, it's safe. This does not affect that. But it doesn't say that in any way. So all I could do was say, yeah, okay, whatever. You do you, Google. You do you, and I'll just hold my breath over here and see what happens. And then it says, okay, we're going to redirect you back to YouTube for the next stage. And I'm like, all right, redirect away. I click on the redirect button. I end up back on my YouTube studio page. And then it says step 1 done, which was read and sign. Step 2, link to AdSense. It says done. And then step 3 is the review of your channel to see whether you qualify. And that was in progress. And they say this could take up to a month, and then we'll let you know the results of our investigation. And then what happens after that, I don't know. Do they have to send me another code to Canada? Do I have to create a new bank account? Can I use the same bank account? Do I even have to tell them my bank account details? Because it's already connected to Planet Doug. So in theory, I shouldn't have to do anything. It's all fixed up already, right? But they don't say any of that. They don't actually tell you any of that. So that's where it is now. So at some point, perhaps in the future, all of YouTube, all of Google for me will just come crumbling down, and I'll never be able to fix all the mistakes I made this morning. I may have screwed up everything, and I haven't even found out yet. I've been monitoring my email. I went to Planet Doug, and I looked into Planet Doug's studio, looking for any changes, like, oh, your AdSense account has been disconnected, or this or that, or there's an issue, there's a problem. And I didn't see anything, but maybe it's too early for the disaster to show itself yet. But yeah, we'll see what happens now. Now we just wait and see what they say about behind the scenes. So that was my first Planet Doug drama for this morning. As if I don't have enough problems in my life, I had to create more by monetizing a channel that doesn't make any money anyway. But yeah, yeah, hold your breath, cross your fingers, wish me luck, and hopefully I didn't screw everything up. Planet Doug drama number 2 is my tourist visa extension. And I recorded an entire video about that story. It's here on Planet Doug Behind the Scenes, where I talk about getting a 30-day extension for my visa on arrival, the EVOA for Indonesia. And I did that this week. I started in the morning. I forget even what morning it was. I think Monday. Yeah, it was Monday morning. I went online and I applied for the extension. And then on Tuesday morning, I went to the immigration office and they took my picture and it was done. So I got the whole thing done in 24 hours. And since I already shot an entire video telling that whole story, I don't need to repeat the whole story here. But maybe there's a little bit more behind the scenes background I can add. Because when I was sitting here in Tanjung Balai, I knew I had to do this at some point. And as I talked about, they used to have a system here where you didn't have to go to an immigration office. So life was really much better back in those days, where you could get your extension from anywhere. You just did it on your laptop. You could even do it on your phone. You just go to the website, apply for your extension, pay for it using a credit card or some sort of payment system, and then you're done. You didn't actually have to go anywhere. But then this year, 2025, they put in a new requirement. It's actually an old requirement that they reinstated. And they says, okay, you can't do it only online anymore. You have to apply online, but then you have to come to an immigration office in person. And then you can finally get your extension. So it's a 2-stage process now. But you can do this at any immigration office. Here in Indonesia, I think they have 126 immigration offices scattered throughout the whole country. So they're all over the place. If you go to Google Maps and you type in, the Indonesian is like Kantor Imigrasi, Kantor Imigrasi, and then it'll give you an option on Google Maps, show Kantor Imigrasi locations. Hit that on Google Maps and you'll see them like all across Sumatra where all of these are located. Of course, there's one in Medan, there's one in Banda Aceh, there's one in Pekanbaru, and those ones are class 1 immigration offices. Those are the big ones, and those are like full service immigration offices where they can handle everything to do with any immigration issue. And then they have class 2 and class 3, and they get smaller and smaller in terms of the amount of staff, and they get smaller in terms of the range of services they can provide. And I'm not entirely clear. I know as a foreigner getting a tourist visa or a visa extension, of course you can go to class 1, So I could go to Medan, I could go to Banda Aceh, the big cities, sure. Class 1 offices will handle everything. And then Class 2, I know for a fact, they can handle like 60-day tourist visas that require sponsors, and any visa issue you have, they can do it at a Class 2. Class 3, I think they can do a standard visa on arrival extension, like take your photo, take your fingerprints. I think even a Class 2 can do it. I tried to find out recently, but I couldn't get a clear answer. So I was sitting here in Tanjung Balai, and I had a choice to make, because in Tanjung Balai there is an immigration office right here. It's right around the corner from my hotel. So that would be the easiest place to do it. Or I could travel to another part of Sumatra, just as long as there's an immigration office there. Because my current visa doesn't expire until the 17th. So I started thinking about this maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, and back then I could have traveled to another city just as long as they had an immigration office, and I had to get there before my visa expired. It's unclear how many days before visa expiry date you have to apply for the extension. They used to say you needed to do it within like 7 days or 10 days or something like that. You have to do it early. But anyway, I couldn't figure out these details. And I was nervous about doing it here in Tanjung Balai, because my sense from the past is that the Tanjung Balai office is a bit different, because this is a port town. And Tanjung Balai, this area, has a reputation for smuggling. And they're a bit more hardcore here. So years ago, before YouTube, before I even had a YouTube channel, I was here in Tanjung Balai, and I had a different kind of visa. I had a 60-day tourist visa that I got at the consulate in Malaysia, the Indonesian consulate in Penang. And for that, you need a sponsor, and then you can extend it for another 60 days inside the country. But it requires someone to sponsor you, a local person. That's how it was back in those days. And I happened to be in Tanjung Balai, and I had a sponsor, I had all the paperwork and everything. So I went to the immigration office here, and I ran into all kinds of problems. I don't know what they were doing here. It was very confusing, but they said, okay, we can do this for you, but here in Tanjung Balai, you need to establish residency. And I was like, well, it's just a tourist visa. There's nothing to do with residency. And they says, we don't want to hear about it. You have to do this. And they told me I had to go to the local city council and get documents from them saying that I am a resident of Tanjung Balai and I am in good standing here. I haven't broken the law. Anyway, they told me I had to go to the city council and apply for all these documents there. And that turned into this huge problem, because they were on holiday. They have meetings for the city council or something, but everybody was on a big fishing holiday. And then I had to wait, and by the time they came back, and then they ended up asking for all kinds of bribes back in those days. It was very much more of a Wild West here. And then when I went in there, they were like, oh boy, this is really difficult to do. But they all started asking for money. And my sponsor at the time, a local woman here, told me, yeah, they need you to grease the wheels. And then she went into negotiation with all these city council members here in Tanjung Balai. They have an office right down by the main market. Every time I go to the market here, I either walk or ride my bicycle by that building, and I remember all the time I spent in that building dealing with this, trying to get these documents, and then paying out these bribes and negotiating with the city council members how much I should pay each of them. And then we eventually settled on a figure, and I'm handing out all this. It was just ridiculous. And then I finally got the papers from them, and I had to bring them back to the immigration. This was, like I said, years and years ago. And there was a problem with those papers. There were issues. I had to do this, I had to do that. It was a nightmare. And that was my memory of the immigration office here in Tanjung Balai. So I didn't really want to risk going there again. But the way the timing worked out, I got ill here in Tanjung Balai again the clock was ticking. I couldn't really travel. And then I thought, well, it makes the most sense. Let's just risk it. So then I applied for the visa extension here from this very room on my laptop. And then because I applied from here and I put my address as Tanjung Balai, then I got an email from the Tanjung Balai office that said, please come in for biometrics. And I told that whole story in the other video, how confusing it was, because they were supposed to give you an invitation email within 48 hours, but within 2 minutes of paying for my visa extension, I got an email. And the email said, oh, we've accepted your application. Please, you must go to the it said you must go to your local immigration office within 72 hours. And I thought, oh, that's totally different from what you told me before, but okay. And I decided to go the next morning. And then while I was going to the immigration office, I got another email. I was on my way there when I got an email, and I opened it up and it said, oh, your application for your residence permit has been postponed because you did not submit the proper documents. So please gather up all the appropriate documents and submit them in the appropriate forum or platform. So of course I'm now panic-stricken because I thought, I made such a huge mistake staying in Tanjung Balai. Looks like they're gonna make me do the same thing. They sent me an email about a residency just like the first time years ago. And I really shouldn't have done it. But then in the middle of this email that was talking about how I have to submit more documents for my residence permit, there was a little bold paragraph right in the middle that said, oh, please come to our Tanjung Balai office for your appointment at 10 a.m. on July 8th for photo and biometric. And all of that language is associated with the visa on arrival extension. So most, I would say 80% of the email was about my failed residency application, but there was one paragraph in the middle that was very friendly and just says, oh, come on in and get your picture taken. So the email was all mixed up. Anyway, then I did get to the immigration office, and there was some confusion there because they needed me to acknowledge a whole bunch of notifications that they sent to my official Indonesian immigration account, which I hadn't checked that morning. Like, why would I? Everything was done. It was now being done through email. So I didn't open up my account with the Indonesian website. I never looked at it, but apparently they had been sending me stuff and I was supposed to click on buttons in these notifications and then go to the office. But of course, nowhere in the instructions did they tell me about that. But then when I got there, the guy says, oh no, you haven't done these things in your account yet, and we can't continue until you do. So then I had to figure out how to get into my account while I was there, and then eventually that worked out, and I clicked on all these notifications, and then it was like, okay, now we can actually do it. And then it was very, very easy from that point, and it turns out all they did was take my picture. Once we got the initial hurdle overcome, they just said, oh, come on into the back, sir, have a seat. And I've done this in the past many, many times, so I'm very familiar with the come to the back, sit in front of the computer, and they got a little webcam there, and they open up your account online, and they take your picture, and it's inserted. And then they normally take all of your fingerprints too, with this very primitive fingerprint scanner that works like 20% of the time. It takes a long time to get all 10 of your fingerprints. And but they didn't need fingerprints this time. They said they have to do biometrics, photo and fingerprints, but in reality, no fingerprints, just a photo. So this was a lot of jumping through hoops, a lot of effort, a lot of song and dance. And all I had to do because of all that was 15 seconds, sit down, click, okay, that's it. All you needed was to take my picture. I mean, I'd already uploaded my photo to their website countless times. Every visa application, every visa extension, I'm like uploading JPEG, 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 JPEG. I mean, they have so many copies of my photos, it's crazy. But they needed one more. So, all right, sat down, click. And then they printed it out for me, which I thought was an amazing touch. Normally they wouldn't do that. But yeah, they actually printed it out, a copy of my visa extension, though by the time I got to the end and they gave me the official document, I would be personally pleased and relieved if at the top it said 30-day visa on arrival extension. Here you are. But no, it says visit stay permit. So the language, the vocabulary changes all the time. You don't know whether you get what you're doing, really. If you even go to the website, sometimes it says tourist visa, sometimes it says VOA, sometimes it says EVOA, sometimes it says visit stay permit, sometimes it says residence permit. It just uses all this interchangeably. So you really just basically have to, as I talked about in the video, just close your eyes and go forward. Just you won't understand it, you won't know what's going on, but just have faith in the system and just do what they tell you to do. Click on the things they tell you, submit the forms they tell you, go to the office when they tell you. But that was the really confusing part, because as I said, I got an email that said, just come to the office anytime within the next 72 hours. So I thought, oh, cool. And then I got an email that actually gave me an appointment and said, come to this office at 10 a.m. on this date. So they actually had two systems operating in parallel. But I guess that's the way you do it. That is the takeaway, that you apply online and then wait. Keep checking your account, because they're going to send you stuff on your online account, and acknowledge that and click on the buttons they tell you, but then wait for the email that gives you your appointment slot. They're going to give you an official appointment slot. So now that I've done it once, it's like, oh, okay, that's how it works. A tangent here, a Planet Doug pet peeve. There's a YouTuber here in Sumatra right now. His channel is called Let's Go Cycling, and he's riding a bike around Sumatra, and I've been watching his videos. Yeah, it's just interesting to see Sumatra through his eyes and how he's going about life in Sumatra. And I was really curious about the logistics of his trip, because he's way out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, he didn't even go to the tour, like he didn't go to the Harau. He landed in Dumai, which is what I did 1 year ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. I took my bicycle with me originally to Dumai, and then I rode my bike up to Bukit, and then that's West Sumatra, and there are like a million beautiful areas to visit up there, and some big tourist attractions like the Harau Valley, for example. And then there's the volcano there, like this crater lake, like Lake Toba, which is stunning, just stunningly beautiful. And then you've got Padang, the whole coastline with all the beaches, the island hopping, there's surfing islands. So there's all this stuff there, all these famous places, and they're not overrun with tourists. Like I can imagine someone somewhere else saying, I don't want to bother with the touristy places. But these places in West Sumatra are good for tourism. But like when I went to the volcanic crater lake and rode my scooter around there, because I rented a scooter by that point, I mean, there was no tourism at all. It was just me having an amazing adventure. So I would recommend it to anyone. It's not touristy in the negative sense at all. It's just an amazing place. But anyway, Let's Go Cycling guy, his name might be Yassine, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'll just keep calling him Let's Go Cycling guy. He didn't go to any of those places. He rode his bike, he just about got to Bukit, and then for whatever reason he turned off to the left. Just went down some random countryside road. He went through Payakumbuh, and he rode right by the Harau Valley, another like stunningly beautiful place. I mean, just wow. And I went there on a scooter, and either he was completely unaware of it, or he just decided, too touristy for me. Like, I'm a hardcore traveler. I don't go to tourist places. Maybe he makes that distinction in his mind. Maybe he didn't even know about the Harao Valley. I think that's actually what's going on. He just didn't know that it was there, because he doesn't seem to be doing any kind of research or looking at Google Maps or anything. He's just sort of riding his bike. So anyway, he skipped all of that, went down this countryside road. So he is in the middle of nowhere, going really slowly. So I'm thinking, how in the world are you handling your visa? Like, your 30-day visa on arrival, it's got to be expiring. And so what are your plans? Like, where are you going? Because you don't have enough, at this rate, you're not getting anywhere. You're not going to make it to Bali, where so how are you going to leave Sumatra, and are you going to extend your visa, and how are you going to leave? So I hesitate a little bit when it comes to asking people these questions. I don't want to pry. I don't want to annoy YouTubers with my questions. Oh, what camera are you using? What setting do you use for your microphone? Because those are kind of, you feel like you're annoying the YouTuber with trivia, asking them, what camera are you using? But of course, I'm always curious, and I'm very curious about logistics. So eventually I did leave a comment on his video, and I asked him. And I made the mistake, and I knew this was a mistake when I did it, but I did it anyway. I put 3 questions, I think 3 questions into the same comment. Something like where are you, like something about his plans, where he's going to go, and then how he's leaving from Sumatra. And he sort of answered the first question briefly, like one-word answer, and then ignored questions 2 and 3. And that's what everybody does. That's human nature. You send someone an email with 3 questions, they'll answer the first one barely, and they'll ignore the next 2. Everybody does that, and everybody does it except me. I try to read and I answer every question, but most people don't. But anyway, and then I sent him a follow-up question about, so you are going, like, have you already, I think he told me he extended his visa or something like that. So I wanted to know, well, how, because I need to do it myself. I thought he could give me advice, because it's a brand new policy. Like, how does it work? What happened? So I asked him about his visa extension, like, where did you get it done? And then I was hoping that he would tell me the story, as I would tell the story to someone. And he wrote back with, yes, brother, did it. And that's it. Something like, yes, brother, did it. So I don't know what, but that's what everybody does, which is the Planet Doug pet peeve. If someone left my comment on my channel right now, I would tell them. I said, I went to the immigration, I applied for my extension in Tanjung Balai. I applied online through the website, and then 24 hours later, they sent me an email giving me an appointment, telling me to come to the immigration office at 10 a.m. the next morning. So that's how it worked. I think I would tell somebody step by step what happened, what to expect, how it works. But no one else ever does that. So I was hoping Let's Go Cycling would give me some insight into the procedure. And of course, he just wrote back, yes, brother, did it. Like, well, thanks for that. It's like, that does not help me in any way. And of course, I understand it. You can't spend the rest of your life replying to comments. And I've noticed in the past with my videos, if I ever posted a video about applying for a visa or something like that, and that video gets noticed, I will end up with a lot of questions from people asking me things I don't know the answers to. They'll say, well, I'm from Greece, and my passport is expiring in 8 months, and this and that, and I applied for a visa, and I want to stay for 90 days, but, and there's like a very complicated technical visa question, and I have to tell them, it's like, I don't know. Like, I'm not an immigration lawyer. I just shot a video about what happened to me with my Canadian passport in my situation. And so if you end up getting like 20 comments, people asking you technical visa questions that you can't answer, or if you tried to answer them, it would take you an hour and a half of research to answer each one of these questions. You're like, well, like I said, I'm not an immigration lawyer getting paid $150 an hour to do this research for you. So it can be a bit of a pain if people start asking you all these technical questions. So I can kind of understand Let's Go Cycling's reluctance to dive into the details, but come on, fellow YouTuber, I'm in Sumatra at the same time as you. You got to give me more than that. Like, what office did you, like, you got a visa extension, but can you give me a little bit more than that? Other than, yes, did it. Anyway, that's my pet peeve when it comes to that. And I guess the last thing I'll say about this topic is what I also said in my other video, that the customer service at the immigration office, beautiful, amazing, really, really nice. And here in Indonesia, in my experience, the service and the quality of the immigration offices every year is improving, getting better and better and better. So yeah, they're working really hard. And lately I always have a really good experience when you go in. I mean, some of the paperwork and the logistics and the systems, the emails, a little bit confusing. But in terms of the people that you meet, their willingness to help you out, to work with you, their friendliness, and then even the setting there has been changing, where they have people on staff whose job it is to help you, and then they have a little coffee station where you can make yourself a cup of coffee, and yeah, I mean, you get amazing service. And I often think about this, like when I'm reluctant in a way to talk about the issues or the problems that I encounter applying for one of these tourist visas or visa extensions, because it can seem a little bit ungrateful, because when you look at it from an international point of view, I'm extremely lucky. Like, how many times have I come to Sumatra on a tourist visa? Many times. And then every time they just give me another visa. Like, as a Canadian, I can come to Sumatra so easily. So to nitpick about the problems with the application process is kind of unfair, because imagine someone from Sumatra trying to get a visa to go to Canada. Imagine what they have to go through. I know what they have to go through because I talk to people about it in various countries, like when I went to Bangladesh, for example, and I talked to a lot of people in Bangladesh who described to me what they went through trying to get a tourist visa to go to Canada or the United States. Man, the work they have to do, the cost, the expense. They have to spend hundreds of dollars going to lawyers and getting documents, multiple visits, and it takes months and months and months, and at the end of it, every single time, denied. Their tourist visa is just denied outright, and they get none of that money back. So count your blessings as a Canadian with like a Canadian passport, the ease with which I can visit Sumatra. You should not really overlook that fact. And then you go to the immigration office here, and they're just so friendly to you, so helpful, so kind. You really amazing. So that's I wanted to end this Planet Doug drama on that positive note. The third and final Planet Doug drama is all about how I became sick again here in Tanjung Balai. And I'm doing the detective work. I'm trying to figure out what is it that keeps making me sick here, because it's not the first time that it happened. And I don't have a very, well, I suppose I do. I mean, I eat at a lot of different places for snacks and things. When it comes to water, I always get my water in these big jugs from the same water purification place right across the road. So that is a possible source of what's making me sick all the time, because I always get my water from the same place. Maybe their filtration system isn't working, I don't know. And then there's a restaurant right beside my hotel. I go there quite often. They make like a fried chicken meal, and that could be the source of my illness. Maybe their oil is not being replaced and it's like a bubbling cauldron of evil bacteria. And then there's a I Am Bakso place I always go to. That could be the place that was always getting me sick. So I'm thinking, okay, what is it that happens? Why am I always getting sick here? But there's no way to answer that question. But the last time that I was here, I got really sick, and it took a long time to recover. I didn't get any treatment or anything. It didn't seem like an illness. Like I wasn't having a high fever. I didn't have major stomach cramps. There was no blood, no vomiting. I just had the runs basically for weeks, and it was pretty bad. And it just took a long time to go away. So I came back to Tanjung Balai this time, settling in happily, and boom, same thing. I just became sick again. And then this time, I tried at the very beginning, I gave it a few days, like, let's just see whether this is going to cure itself. And I just got the feeling that this is going to turn into weeks of this all over again. And I decided to take antibiotics this time. And I'm not against antibiotics in any way. It's just that I've gotten sick a lot over the years, different countries around the world, and I have taken a lot of antibiotics. I have taken so many that I just start to worry about it, because they're pretty brutal on your system in a way. They kill everything in your body, like all the bacteria, just sort of, it's not like they go in there and they know, oh, let's find the bacteria that's making Doug sick. This isn't a Hollywood movie. They just basically kill everything, healthy stuff, good stuff, and bad stuff. And then, of course, worldwide, there is this issue of bacteria developing resistance to antibiotics. It's like a constant war. And then if worldwide everybody takes antibiotics constantly, then the bacteria become superpowered, and they will eventually develop resistance, and we're going to end up with a bacteria that just wipes out the human race, because they're all resistant to antibiotics, because we over-medicate. There's that general idea. So I'm not a big fan of instantly, because, oh, I have a little bit of an upset stomach, let's just like, antibiotics. I want to push back a little bit on that. But this time I didn't want to deal with this. So I did some research, and this is going to be one of these things that I'm sure everybody in the world already knew about. But apparently I didn't get the memo, because when I was doing my research this time, and I was using Google, AIs, I was like, what are the antibiotics that are commonly used for this kind of illness? What's available in Indonesia? Just trying to figure out what's out there on the market. And in the old days, there were the standard antibiotics that everybody took, that I always took. And I guess I haven't taken antibiotics for a long time, because there's a new kid on the block, a new one that I didn't know about. So I see all of the normal ones, like the normal antibiotics, you take a lot of pills, like quite often 3 big pills a day, and you'd be on your antibiotics for up to 10 days, like a 10-day course, 3 pills a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner sort of thing. And that's what I'm accustomed to. But then this time, I was doing all this research, and then every AI, every Google doctor, everybody said, no, what you need, based on what you're describing, is azithromycin. I don't know how to pronounce it now that I'm looking at it, but azithromycin. And it's completely different from any antibiotic I've ever taken in the past. For example, the dosage was 1 pill per day for 3 days. That was the recommended dosage from everybody. All the doctors, AI, everyone, even the pharmacists here that I spoke to. No, 1 pill per day for 3 days. And I thought, oh, come on. Are you sure we're talking about the same thing? That doesn't seem like it would be strong enough to deal with what I got going on here. Haven't you got something more powerful? This doesn't sound right. But according to everybody, no, that this azithromycin, like I asked AI, was azithromycin a breakthrough when it was discovered? It's actually older than I thought. I thought it was brand new based on everything I read. I thought, wow, this must have come out last year. But I think it was this type of antibiotic was invented or discovered. I don't have the notes here for that, but back in the 90s maybe, or the early 2000s. I mean, it's been around a while, but maybe it wasn't widespread yet. But anyway, I didn't know about it. I hadn't heard about it. But the difference is it has a really long half-life, which is why you only take it for 3 days. I ended up taking it for 4 days because I wanted a bit more. 3 days didn't feel like long enough. So I thought, well, I'll do it for 4 days, 1 pill per day. But it has a half-life of 68 hours. I think the older, what are some names? Ciprofloxacin. These are the names I know. Amoxicillin, ciprofloxacin. I guess they have a half-life of like 6 hours. I didn't even know antibiotics had a half-life, but azithromycin has a half-life of 68 hours, which means the amount of active drug in your system, after 68 hours, it drops by half, and then another 68 hours to drop by half. So it stays in your system working continuously for a long time. You take 1 pill, it's not like it's gone in half a day, which is what happens in ciprofloxacin and amoxicillin. You take one of those pills, that's why you have to take a pill every 6 hours or every 8 hours, because it just gets flushed out of your system. This new stuff, it stays in your body for days and days and days and days. You take enough of it, it will be in your body for weeks, because the half-life is so long. 68, that's a 3-day half-life, almost 72 hours. That's crazy. Not only that, this penetrates your tissue and your blood. All the other stuff, the amoxicillin, ciprofloxacin, it's blood-based. So you take the pill, it goes into your bloodstream, flows everywhere, attacks all the evil bacteria, and then gets flushed out of your system. But this new stuff, this azithromycin, it splits into 2 camps. Some of it, well, 3 camps in a way, but let's say 2 camps. It goes into gets absorbed through your digestive tract into your bloodstream, but it also goes right into the tissue. So it goes into your body tissue and fights the bacteria from the lining of your digestive tract, because it's embedded in the tissue itself. And then that's what leads to this incredible half-life, because it remains in the tissue. So it's attacking the bacteria through the blood supply, through the digestive system, and through the tissue itself. So apparently this is like some kind of a miracle drug that I didn't know about and nobody told me about. So yeah, I took one of these pills in the morning, the first day. I swear by the next day, I was better. Like, it was just instantaneous. I couldn't believe it, how quickly it acted. And then I continued for 3 days, and I had some extra pills, because they always give you these medications here in long strips. And in terms of buying something, it's easier just to buy the strip, like whatever they hand you, oh, I'll buy that. So instead of saying, okay, I need 3 pills, how much is it per pill? And having this long conversation about how much it costs, they came out with like a strip of 12, I think. And I don't need 12, I only needed 3. But then I said, oh, how much is that? And it turns out that medication here in Indonesia is really inexpensive. I mean, it's so inexpensive, it doesn't make any sense to me. I had this long conversation with AIs asking them about that because I wanted to make sure I got some effective drugs, because I thought it would cost not a lot of money, but I thought I'd be shelling out $30 or $40 or $50 for this powerful new antibiotic treatment, and it ended up being like 60 cents for the whole strip. I was like, oh, come on, how can a powerful antibiotic be so inexpensive, like less than $1? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, am I getting fake medication here? And he says, no. And AI explained all these reasons why these generic drugs that aren't branded, like they're not restricted, there's no copyright on them, you're not paying for the brand name, that anybody can make them, and then they're all very, very good. I made sure I got a good brand made locally in Indonesia, and it costs like next to nothing for that drug. Couldn't believe how inexpensive it was. But anyway, I ended up with a whole strip of like 12 of them, and then when I went through a 3-day course, then I woke up on the 4th morning and I thought, let's just to be safe, let's one more for 4 days. And they tell me 3 days is more than long enough. 4 days, I couldn't see the harm in one more dose, get that extra half-life going on. And so I took it for 4 mornings, and the very second morning, I was starting to feel better right away. And I feel perfectly fine now. So yeah, that worked out really well. My Planet Doug drama with my most recent illness and azithromycin. Yeah, according to AI, like I said, before azithromycin, infections often required 7 to 10 days of antibiotics. For this stuff, 3 days is normal for like traveler's diarrhea, that kind of thing. So yeah, 68 hours, it stays a 68-hour half-life in your body tissues. Amazing. So yeah, that's how that drama ended, and I'm feeling much, much better now. Yeah, pretty much back to normal once again, which is good. Planet Doug video stories. I have one video in particular that I intended to talk about, but now that I'm sitting here, I'm wondering, did I already talk about my carnival video? I can't remember if I did or not, because just up the street here in Tanjung Balai from my hotel, there's a big open field, and a traveling carnival showed up. Big, exciting place. And then, actually this ties in with the illness that I was talking about, because I went to investigate the carnival, and then I spoke to a man who works there. He looked to be busy helping set up the place, and he spoke a bit of English, and he was actually a YouTuber, and I chatted with him for a while, and then I had plans to go there on that Saturday night. I already had plans to leave Tanjung Balai. I was all set to leave, actually, but I thought, I'll stay until Saturday night. I'll go to the carnival, have that, make a video about it, edit that video on Sunday, and then on Monday I'll leave Tanjung Balai. That was the whole plan. And then Saturday came around, and it just poured rain. Like, it was just about time to go to the carnival. I could hear the music pounding. They have these spotlights lighting up the sky. You can see the lights of the Ferris wheel. Everything was happening over there. And then the rain just came thundering down. So I thought, well, that's it for Saturday night. I'm not going to go. I'll go Sunday night, delay one more day, and then on Sunday, I got hit with this illness. I was so sick, and there was no way I was going anywhere. And then that led into a long period of illness and taking antibiotics and whatnot. So I never made it to the carnival for a long time. And then another weekend, I'm feeling better, and then I finally did grab my GoPro, all set up, and I went to the carnival. And yeah, it's starting to feel familiar now. I think I told this story for the most part already. But yeah, I had this idea in my mind of how I was going to shoot the carnival. I wanted to do it in a little bit more of a storytelling format, not just me holding my GoPro like I normally do and just going, oh, I'm here at the carnival, and then turn the GoPro around and, oh, look, there's this happening, and oh, let's go do this, and just sort of do it in real time, documenting the experience. What I wanted to do was, I don't know, just have a bit more fun with it, and I was going to mount my GoPro in different places and then film myself from a distance, and I wanted to engage with a lot of things. I knew there'd be games there, for example, where you can like throw a baseball and try to hit a bunch of cans, and then you win a stuffed pig, carnival games. And I wanted to do some of the carnival games. I had this big plan. I actually have 3 GoPros right now. I got my GoPro Hero 12 and 2 Hero 9s, and I worked during the day to mount them with different mounting gear, so that when I show up at the carnival, I'm ready for anything, like any situation where I need to put a GoPro, attach it to a tree, attach it to a fence post, put it on a tripod, hand it to another person to hold. I had a GoPro mount ready to go. I had audio all worked out. But then, as often happens with me, these thoughts, these ideas, these plans, they're all taking place like at 9:30 in the morning, when I'm feeling amazing. This is my time. And then by the time it was time to go to the carnival, because I didn't want to go there early, you want to go when it's fully on. So I was waiting till 9:30 before I finally went. By the time 9:30 came around, I was here in my room. I was just like, I'm exhausted. I'm done for the day. I tried to take a nap to recharge my batteries, but I couldn't sleep. And I was exhausted. I couldn't think. I could barely move. And I was like, not time to go to the carnival. Like all the energy, all the excitement, everything, all my thoughts about going to the carnival just drained out of my body. And the only way I managed to go with my GoPros was this thought I often have. I encourage myself with this thought that, well, think of YouTube as a job. It's your job to shoot videos because you are a self-proclaimed YouTuber. And when you have a job, someone's paying you to work. Like when I was living in Taiwan, there were many, many mornings where I didn't want to go to work. Like, I enjoy working, to be honest. I looked forward to going to work and going to my job, but there were some mornings when I didn't get any sleep the night before. I wasn't feeling well. I was exhausted. I was sick. I didn't want to go to work. I had no energy for it at all. And yet, I still went because I have a job to do. Someone was paying me to do this job. So no matter how tired I was, how sick I was, every single morning I was back on my scooter and drive through rush hour traffic, park my scooter, take the elevator, sit down at my desk, fire at my computer, and I work because you have that discipline. So imagine taking that discipline and applying it to being a YouTuber. Same thing. Like the carnival, I wanted to shoot a video about it, and I was tired and I wasn't feeling good and I had no energy and no enthusiasm, but hey, that is your job, so suck it up and go do it. So I adopted that attitude, and I thought, well, all right, let's do it. And then I got up and I went out there, and I was really glad I did it. Had I succumbed to my weaker nature and not gone, then I would have been really disappointed in myself the next day. It's like, not like, because I was looking forward to editing the video and posting it, and if I just sat here in my hotel room all night being tired and being sort of blah, and I didn't go outside at all, I wouldn't have felt very good the next day. So the fact that I went there, I felt much better the next day, and even though I was exhausted, I had a good time. I enjoyed the experience, and I'm glad I went. However, I was so tired that all of my big plans, everything I was going to do, not a chance. There was no way I had the energy to do everything I thought I was going to do. Like take part in all the carnival games, mount my GoPros, talk to all the people around me. Oh, do you mind holding my GoPro for me? And can you film me? And oh, I've got another microphone. Can I put this microphone on you? And then I'll interview you for my... I had none of the energy for doing any of that, because that takes a lot of energy. And I just couldn't face it. There's just no way. And when I got there, the crowds were just nuts. The experience that I had was exactly like a normal. I didn't do anything. Like I didn't even go on one ride. I wanted to do all of the rides, the swinging boat ride, the Ferris wheel. I was going to throw with a baseball at the cans. I was going to do everything there. But in order to ride on the Ferris wheel alone, probably would have taken an hour and a half just waiting in line, because they had to fill up every little cage one by one. And then once all the cages were full, maybe they go around once, and then they got to unload everybody and load everybody. I mean, there was a huge lineup at every single ride. And the heat, oh my gosh, sweating, hot, uncomfortable, the noise level, the crowds, and of course a lot of people wanted to take pictures with me, so I'm posing for selfies with everyone, trying to figure out, am I supposed to do a thumbs up, am I supposed to do a peace sign, am I supposed to do the smile? And quite often the people I'm taking pictures with, they're doing different things. They want to do different poses. They want to do a tough guy pose. So I have to kind of match their energy and imitate what they're doing. That takes a lot of energy too. And so anyway, all I did was walk around the carnival, filming everything that's going on. The highlight was the motorcycle barrel drum. I put a little bit more effort into that because that was what I was looking forward to the most. And the lineup, there was no lineup for that. The ticket booth was wide open. There was like one family ahead of me, 2 kids, mother, father. They were the only people in the lineup. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll go do that. So I paid 10,000 rupiah, and you walk up the stairs onto this platform around the drum. And I happened to have a GoPro on my chest harness, and I had the wherewithal to put it on super view, so that it captures the widest angle possible to get the entire drum in the video. And then my handheld GoPro, the 12, I just had it on regular linear plus to keep the horizon level. So I mean, I was thinking about the technology, and I was really glad I put this one on super view, because the Hero 12 on linear plus, it was a little bit too close to the people on the motorcycles, so it didn't really get the scene. It wasn't wide enough. So I was glad to have the 2 different perspectives. I haven't posted that video yet. I've uploaded it. Maybe it will go live tonight or something like that. I'm not sure what I'll do. But I didn't even take part really in that, in terms of like engage. There's no way to engage. It's not like I could ride one of the motorcycles. But anyway, all I did was film it. And then as I walked around the carnival, I filmed all the games. I filmed the Ferris wheel. I filmed the train. I filmed the swinging pirate boat. But I didn't get on the pirate boat because it would have taken so long, such a huge lineup. And I didn't get on the train. There was even one moment beside the Ferris wheel, there was a big stage. And on the stage was a man and a woman. Well, mainly there's a woman at first. She was singing and dancing, and loud over the speakers. And there was something really odd about that, though, because in front of the platform, the stage, why do I call it a platform? A stage, there's a big stage, but in front of the stage was a big wide open field. Nobody was in that field. Like, nobody dared get close to the stage. There's a lot of people listening to the music, watching her perform and enjoying her singing, but everybody was back like 100 feet from the stage. Nobody dared get close. So there was like this big open empty area. It was kind of a weird thing. I don't know why people were so scared to get close to the stage. But anyway, I stayed back as well. It's not like I was going to go out into that open field all by myself. But even being back in the crowd, the people on stage, they saw me. I mean, I stand out from the crowd no matter what. Even though it's dark and there's hundreds of people, they still saw me. And I didn't understand what they were saying, but then the man and the woman, they saw me and they started talking to me and said something like, "Oh, we have a YouTuber. Look, there's a YouTuber out there. Hello, YouTuber, what is your name?" And they're like joking about speaking English with me like everybody does. Like one of them would say, "Oh, what is your name?" And everybody laughs because he's speaking English and whatnot.
Spesial kita masuk channel YouTube-nya Abang Bule saya namanya kita panggil Abang Bule aja ya. Halo. What is your name? And my name is Rizky Bilar.
Good night. My name is Mimiana. Mimi.
Luar biasa sekali.
And then a man beside me, I didn't know who he was, an Indonesian man, he kind of nudged me and was like, go, like go on stage. And at that time, I thought they wanted me to sing. And then I just said, I don't sing. If it were 9:30 in the morning, I would have gone up on stage. Like, I didn't know if they were inviting me onto stage, but this man seemed to think they were. Anyway, he was saying, go up on stage. But I was so tired. This was like on my way out of the park, just about out of the carnival. And yeah, I didn't have the energy for performing or doing anything. And I thought they wanted me to sing. And to be honest, I wouldn't even mind singing just for fun. But I don't know any Indonesian songs. That's all they would have. They would have the music for it. How in the world am I going to sing? Unless they know Peter, Paul, and Mary, like some sort of song that I know the lyrics to from my childhood or from my teenage years. Do you guys know Stairway to Heaven? I can sing that maybe. But because I know the words to some folk music, Peter, Paul, and Mary, and I know a little bit of Cat Stevens, but anyway, it wasn't going to happen. So I just like, no. But I realize now I probably could have gone on stage and just spoken into the mic. I think people would have enjoyed that. It's like, "Hello, Tanjung Balai, I love you. Just say something in English, say something in Bahasa Indonesia that would have made them very, very happy. A little bit of banter with the two people on stage. And again, 9:30 in the morning, I'm up there. I would have done it. But at that time of night, I couldn't face it. And I thought they wanted me to sing. So I no. So I did not go up on stage. And there was that vast no man's land. Like, if we were close to the stage and the two performers made eye contact with me and then they kind of made a hand gesture like, come up. I probably would have done it. It's my job as a YouTuber, right, to be open to those sorts of opportunities. But from a distance, it didn't look like they were inviting me, and I didn't want to presume. That would be kind of arrogant for me to be walking. It's kind of arrogant out of the gate to be walking around with your GoPro and filming everything, and then uninvited just march up to the stage and grab the mic and, "Hey, hello everybody." That would feel presumptuous. And I was so far away from the stage, I didn't get the sense that they were inviting me onto stage. Like, that no man's land was a real barrier But again, if everybody was crowding around the stage and I was close to them and I could see that they were saying, come up, come up, come up. Even that late at night, that tired, I probably would have gone up. I have no problem speaking in front of a crowd. I'm not nervous about that. I don't have any stage fright or anything like that. But in this situation, I had one man who I didn't know kind of saying, go up. But I didn't know what was going on, so I did not go up. But anyway, that was my first experience there. And then the second night, this was a weekend when I knew it would be really busy, I decided to go back with my 360 camera. So all I wanted to do, I wasn't going to engage, because the way the 360 camera works for me, I have to post one non-stop video, right? With the GoPro, I can record a whole bunch of short clips, and in the editing program, I put them all together and I make a video. But with my 360 camera, I can't do that because I don't have any programs to edit the video. I can't cut them and clip them and put them together as a 360 video, the one where you can look around using your phone. I don't have an editing program for 360 video. So all I can do is make one video. So my plan was to take my 360 camera, go to the entrance to the market, hit record, walk through the market in like 10 minutes or 20 minutes, do a complete loop of all the activities, and when I get back to the entrance, stop recording. And that would be one video from beginning to end. No cuts, no edits, because I can't edit. So that was my plan. Two big problems. The main problem is that I have the Insta360 X3 camera, and it is terrible in low light, particularly the stabilization. It just does not work in low light. So the video itself, I've already seen it. It's just awful. It looks absolutely terrible. I'll probably upload it anyway at some point, but it's 24 gigabytes in size. And here in this hotel, I don't really have Wi-Fi, so I can't upload using Wi-Fi. So I have to wait until I'm in a different hotel before I can even upload it. I have to have Wi-Fi in order to do it. If I did it using mobile data, it would just cost me a fortune I'd be paying to upload videos to YouTube. Smart YouTubers, they upload videos and they get paid for their work. I'm the opposite. I'm paying in order to work. And I don't want to spend $10 or $20 to upload a video buying mobile data. That makes no economic sense at all. So I just wait until I have Wi-Fi, and then I can upload a video that's that big. So anyway, yeah, the video is terrible. But also, I kind of knew this would happen, but I didn't anticipate the extent to which it would happen, because I'm walking through the carnival holding the camera, but I'm not filming a video, right? I'm not like filming this and filming that and then talking on camera. I'm just doing a scenery walkthrough, and I wanted to do one continuous walk, but the second I showed up, everybody wanted to take a picture with me. So all through the walk, people stop me again and again and again and again. And then I'm standing there with this long selfie stick with a camera way up in the air above me, holding onto this selfie stick with one hand, and then giving a thumbs up and a peace sign and a smile, posing with all these people. And the funny thing is that once you take one picture with some people, all the people that are watching, they jump in, because like nobody wants to stop you when you're walking, but as soon as you stop, then you're already taking pictures with these people. It gives other people the courage to then jump in. So before you finish with these people and you start walking again, these other people, oh, can we one photo, one photo, one photo. And then you take pictures with this person, and then they switch places. The person holding the phone now comes and poses with you, then another group, then another group, then another group. So I ended up taking a lot of pictures with a lot of people. And the whole time that I was doing it, I was holding on to this goofy selfie stick. So all of this is in the video. You can actually see it, and you can see just how goofy and awkward I am in these situations, because I can't really talk to any of these people. And a lot of people did something very different with these selfies, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what my role was, and it seemed like I was doing it wrong. So then I started doing it in the way I thought they wanted, but it felt really strange. So I don't know what was going on, but what happened was these younger women were now posing with me, and then they, instead of doing thumbs up, peace sign, or smile, they started gazing at me. There's no other word for it, like gazing lovingly at me. So they're not very tall women. So I'm up here, they're down below me, and while they're posing for their pictures, they would kind of go, and stare up at me. And that's how they wanted to pose for the picture. And then I was like, oh, that's quite a look you're giving me. And then they would nudge me like, you look at me. Like, so I think what they wanted was for the two of us to be looking at each other for the selfie. But of course, when people are taking selfies, half the time they don't know how to do it, because it's their friend's phone, right? And they're fumbling. Oh, how do I turn on the camera? Oh, you got to push the button at the bottom. No, here, give it to me. Let me set it up. And it's not working. It's not working. Which one? Can you show me? So it takes a long time to take the picture, and the whole time that I'm there waiting for this to happen, I'm like looking down at this young girl, like so gazing into her eyes, And I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if that was what I was supposed to be doing, because there were like shrieks of laughter and enjoyment, but I don't know if that was because they were enjoying it, I was doing the right thing, or I wasn't supposed to be looking into her eyes. I was supposed to be looking at the camera while she looked at me. I didn't know what my role was in this situation. So this was kind of a new thing for me. And in normal life, in day-to-day, my normal day-to-day life, it's not often that I'm like staring deeply into the eyes of a young woman. This is not something that happens in my life these days. So it was a very unusual experience. Because if I'm chatting with somebody, we make eye contact, but you're not like unblinkingly gazing at them. You just sort of make eye contact and you're chatting, and then you kind of look around and make eye contact. Like you break the eye contact from time to time. I mean, I do look into people's eyes when I talk to them, but this was a whole different thing where we were sort of meant to be gazing at each other. And so that was an unusual twist on the whole selfie experience, and I hope I was doing it the right way. I remember a few days earlier, there was a woman who wanted to take a picture with me, and then we took a couple pictures already, but then she did sort of the half a heart thing. So she held up her hand. She already did the thumbs up and the peace sign and the smile, but now she did half a heart. And I know people, you put your hands together and you make a whole heart, and she put up half a heart. So I thought, well, I guess I'm supposed to make the other half. So I put my hand against hers and made the other half of the heart. And people just went nuts. People were like, oh, oh. They were just like screaming and yelling, and it was like I had done something scandalous, like I had agreed to marry this woman or something. I was declaring my love for her or something by completing the heart, and people just lost their minds. So I thought, oh man, did I do the right thing here? I think I was supposed to do it, and I think people liked it, but at the same time, the reaction was so strong, they were some people seemed shocked that I did it. I was like, what am I going to do? I complete the heart. You complete me, apparently. Anyway, that was pretty funny. And it was quite the thing. walking through that carnival with my GoPro and then with the 360 camera. All these selfie sessions were pretty intense. They felt intense anyway. Maybe they won't look as intense on the video, but I guess you'd have to see inside my brain to see, you know, I got 100 monkeys in there like jumping around and going crazy, trying to figure out what it is I'm supposed to be doing in these situations. And then one woman took pictures with me, and then she was a bit of a larger woman, I think, and she wanted to do a fist bump afterwards. And again, I'm not a very cool guy. Here in Indonesia, even when you shake hands with men, they've got the magic handshake. There's a whole thing you do where you do this and this and that and that, and everybody seems to know what to do. I see men do it to each other all the time, and I always get confused. I don't know what the handshake is that they're expecting, so I fumble all the time. So I don't know what to do. When it comes to fist bumping, it's not an instinctive thing for me to do either. And this woman held up her fist for a fist bump. So I held up my fist, all right, let's fist bump. And she just about knocked me backwards. Like, she hit me hard, and I wasn't ready for it. I just kind of put up this limp-wristed sort of casual fist bump, like, and then she went in for a punch, and then she's like knocked my arm backwards. And I thought, oh, I wasn't ready for that. Like, if I knew she was gonna fist bump me that hard, I would have tensed up. I would have been ready for it. But the way it was, man, she just knocked me backwards. Hopefully that's on video. I can't remember if that was the 360 or the GoPro time. I think it was during the 360. So you'll see, if you watch the whole 360 video, it's like 30 minutes long. You'll see this one, maybe you'll see this one woman offer me a fist bump, and then you'll see that I wasn't ready for it. Yeah, that was pretty funny. So that is my Planet Doug video story. All right, it is time to run away far and run away fast, because I'm going to talk about technology. Though this time it shouldn't be as long or as drawn out. I just have one small follow-up topic on my mind, based on all the things I was talking about in previous videos about my new laptop, the Asus TUF A16, which I'm using for video editing. And then I'm trying to maximize GPU usage, like it's an extremely powerful laptop. And I'm trying to figure out whether it's using all of the available power or not, and if not, how to force it to do so, or maybe it is using all of its power and it's running great. It's really hard to tell for someone who's not technical like me. So I've been going down a whole bunch of different rabbit holes related to that. And it kind of makes sense, because if you're trying to understand whether a piece of technology is working properly, you have to have parameters. You have to have a set of results of what is full performance. You know, what's the word? I can't think of the word. There's a word I'm looking for, but you need some sort of structure to compare it to. So, for example, you have a car, and then you're driving it, and you're wondering, 0 to 60 in this car, how fast can it reach 60 miles an hour? And you hit the gas pedal, and it reaches 60 miles an hour in 15 seconds, and you think, oh, well, is that good or bad? Like, does that mean my car needs a tune-up? Like, maybe if everything is working properly, it can get to 60 in 10 seconds, and 15 seconds is too slow, and that means there's something wrong with the car. Like, whatever technology you're thinking about, you're trying to decide whether it's performing properly. You have to know what normal performance is. And I find with technology that's very difficult to do. So this whole thing started with me when I started looking at things like Armory Crate. Like, Armory Crate is a program that's built into Asus gaming laptops to monitor performance. And it breaks it down for you. Okay, here is your discrete GPU, your powerful graphics engine. And it says it's running at 38%. And that always bothered me. So I thought, well, why is it running at 38%? Why isn't it running at 100%? I have all this power. I want the laptop to use it. So what is the problem here? And then you start trying to track down all these things. And I ended up using another ASUS program, which I didn't even know existed, called Adrenaline. And I guess on gaming laptops, on ASUS laptops, there's also a program called Adrenaline that is built into your laptop, but you kind of have to launch it, turn it on, you got to activate it. I'd never heard of it. So I finally got into Adrenaline. A day of my life went into that, just trying to figure out what is Adrenaline and what does it do and how do I properly set it up and do I even need it or does it cause more harm than good to my system? I just don't know. Yeah, I'm really confused about that when it comes to this kind of laptop. It's like, how many programs does it need? Because I've been working with AI to try to figure all this out, and it seems like every day that I'm working on this, the AI suggests another program to check. And I'm like, well, how many programs does this laptop need? I mean, you've got Windows, which has endless systems built into monitoring and choosing settings and downloading drivers and updating drivers. You can do all that through Windows. But now I was told, well, no, you got to use Armory Crate. I'm like, what the heck is Armory Crate? Anyway, I install Armory Crate and I'm busy monitoring and setting things up. And there's, oh no, well, you need Adrenaline, AMD software Adrenaline, and you should download it from the website, get the full package. And all right, so now I've got Adrenaline on my computer. And then we're working through all those. And then the AI said, oh yeah, for that, you better check ASUS. There was another one, ASUS something or other, ASUS system. I don't know, I can't remember the name, but there's a fourth one that I had to install, and it showed me a whole bunch of other information. And I'm like, what the heck? Why do I need so many different programs to control this laptop? It is so complicated. But I guess that's how gaming laptops are. And for most of these things, it turns out that Armory Crate, Adrenaline, most of the features in there, I should just turn off anyway. They're all meant for gamers. Gaming people need this and they need that. A lot to do with latency. And I don't care about latency. So all these things, AI told me, well, this helps a gamer, but for you, it won't help you in any way, and it could possibly harm laptop performance for video editing. So leave this off, leave this off, leave this off, leave this off. So basically Armory Crate and Adrenaline, everything in there is turned off, basically. There's a lot of programs that makes the keyboard light up with different colors and flashing patterns, and it looks really cool in the dark. When you're a gamer, I guess, you want flash, you want to feel like you're in a disco or something. And I'm like, well, yeah, obviously I don't want any of that. So we turn all that off. So all I do with these programs is monitor performance. But the issue there is that every single program gives me a different performance reading. Whatever I'm looking at, the numbers are just all over the map. They're all different. And I don't know why. Like GPU usage, what percentage of the GPU's power is being used? It should be pretty clear. Should just say 38%, 75%. But yet every time, if I'm like editing a video or exporting a video, and I have all these things running at the same time, they all give me a different number. So I don't know what the different numbers mean, and I don't know which one to trust. So this is something I've been working through, and it's been really interesting because it helps me understand technology a lot better. Even though I'm not really figuring out my issues, I am learning a lot along the way, and I do appreciate that. So recently, I kind of came to the end of the road and a final conclusion. And I have some notes here because I actually learned something. So for example, I was having a real problem in that let's see, let me find the specific notes that break it down really simply. Okay, here's one where I am busy exporting a video and I'm monitoring my laptop with Windows Task Manager and AMD Adrenalin. And in AMD Adrenalin, it says my GPU power is at 53%. So half of the GPU is being used. So that doesn't make me very happy. But Task Manager shows GPU usage at 100%, which is what I want. So which one do I believe? Is the GPU usage at 100% or at 50%? I don't know. So anyway, what I finally figured out, according to AI and all the experts online, is that both numbers are correct, but they just show you different things. So Task Manager is showing me that one of the GPU engines is at 100%. And in Task Manager, there's actually a drop-down menu. There's an arrow you can click on, and you can pick on you can choose different parts of the GPU, because the GPU isn't just one thing. It does lots of things and has lots of different engines. So it says Task Manager shows you per engine usage. And what it is doing is it's using the video encoding engine. That's the part that's activated because I'm exporting a video. It's encoding video and it shows it at 100%. So the Task Manager is telling me that, okay, the important GPU engine, the video encoding engine, is maxed out at 100%, which is good because Adrenalin is showing me 50%, but Adrenalin is showing me total GPU workload. And then the AI gave me a list. It says, okay, well, in the GPU, there's graphics pipeline, there's compute tasks, there's memory bandwidth, there's video encode, decode, there's power draw, there's core clock versus max clock, there's utilization balance. There's all these components of your GPU, all the things it does. So Adrenalin is showing me overall GPU usage. So even though the video encoding engine is at 100%, it factors in that all these other GPU engines aren't being used at all. So total GPU usage is at 50%, but it's maxing out the video coding engine. And Task Manager breaks it down for you. And when you see 100% on Task Manager, that is for the video encoding engine. So that solved. Finally, after days of work and research, I figured it out, that it's because Task Manager shows me specific engines, whereas Adrenalin shows me overall GPU usage at 50%. So my question to AI was, okay, which one do I trust? And AI broke it down for me really clearly, and it wrote, trust Task Manager when you want to know, is the video encoder maxed out right now? Trust Adrenalin when you want to know, how busy is the whole GPU overall? So Adrenalin tells me that 50% of all the GPU components are being used. Task Manager is telling me that the important one for me, the video encoding engine, is at 100%. And that's what it is telling me. So both are correct, but Adrenalin, so 100% in Task Manager is one GPU function. Video encode is maxed out. 50% in Adrenalin is a total average of all GPU functions. So both are correct, but they're just telling you the same story in different ways. As they say, it's showing you different parts of the elephant. So it was like, okay. I finally got to the bottom of it. Yeah. So that's what's going on here. I don't know if there's an analogy that I can think of for something like, this isn't really a good analogy, but maybe it's like a subway system, like an entire metro system. And then you can look at one of the trains, the train you want to take, and it says it's running at maximum capacity. That train is full of people. But then when you look at the whole subway system, maybe it's running at 50% capacity because all the other trains are not completely full. They're only partially full. So one measurement tells you, well, this one train is at 100% capacity, but the system as a whole is at 50% capacity. So each measurement tool gives you different information. So every time I've been editing videos now or exporting videos just to make sure I have it clear in my head, I have all of them open at the same time. I've got Armory, Crate, Adrenaline, Task Manager. All three of them are open in different windows. And then I just skip from one to the next. I look at the numbers and I can monitor what's going on. And now the numbers are making sense to me. And the basic idea is that, yes, the full power of my GPU is being used. And that's the main question I was trying to answer. Like, yeah, so everything worked out in the end. And that was my latest technology tale. Kind of had a happy ending. I really figured some things out, and I think I can set that aside for a while and then just not worry about it anymore. I have a couple of YouTube stories on my mind. The first one is from American Hobo. I've talked about him a little bit in the past. The American Hobo is an American man named Daniel, and he started a bicycle ride from northern Vietnam. He bought a $100 bicycle just outside of Hanoi in a small city near Hanoi. And $100 at a local bike shop, kind of a no-name bicycle, just whatever they make and sell locally for people to use within the city, just to ride to the market and back home again. And he decided to take that $100 bike and ride it all the way through Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and Malaysia. And his original idea was to end the ride in Singapore, but he may or may not be going to Sumatra with his bicycle. That's kind of up in the air right now. But he currently is in Malaysia, and in fact, yesterday, he arrived in Kuala Lumpur. I had no idea he was getting to Kuala Lumpur so quickly, but he's moving pretty fast. He entered Thailand overland on his bicycle, and then he spent a few days in Ipoh, really liked Ipoh, and then he started cycling more or less along the coast, and then finally arrived in Kuala Lumpur. And I've been monitoring his trip pretty carefully. He keeps track of everything using a couple of apps. He uses Strava, and he uses Relive, and he marks all of his locations on Google Maps. So when I dive into those, I can really see where he's been, where he's going, how he got there. And that's always fun for me. And he posts a video every single day. He works really hard at this. He's recording on a DJI Pocket 3 camera, and then he's doing all his editing and uploading on a single smartphone. And he camps out a lot. So many nights he's sleeping in his hammock. He goes to the beach and ties his hammock to a couple of trees, and he stays there for the night. But he has these huge power banks, like 50,000 watt, whatever they are, kilowatt hours, maybe 50,000, and then a couple of 20,000s and things like that. So he charges up all his stuff overnight using these power banks, and then he's busy in the hammock hour after hour editing the video and then uploading using mobile if he can, or he waits until he gets to a hotel where that has Wi-Fi. And he's often staying up all night long, like until 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. He was telling a story in a recent video where, I mean, I can relate so much to his videos, which is why I enjoy them so much, because he's just keeping his storytelling very simple, giving an account of every day, including the video editing, shooting, uploading experience. Most YouTubers just don't tell you about any of that, like Itchy Boots or someone is not going to, you know, regale you with tales of all of her issues editing video and uploading them. She just keeps all that hidden in the background, like pretending it's not really happening. But anyway, Daniel, he talks about that, so I really enjoy it. And he was telling the story the other day that he finished editing a video. He uses an app called YouCut on his phone, and then he's been using the YouCut tool to make thumbnails. I think it's like an AI generated thumbnail, and then he's been using that feature. And he says, yeah, he was busy making a thumbnail, and then he made a mistake and he clicked on the wrong button and he deleted his entire video project by accident. So all the work he did editing the video, he just deleted all of it by accident, trying to make a thumbnail. And he was laughing and joking in the video, and he says, well, you know, you almost saw a grown man cry. You know, not quite, but, you know, man, it was close. Because, yeah, I could relate to that. And then this is at like 1 o'clock in the morning. He thought he was finally done, and he had to start all over again from the beginning because he deleted the project. So he was up the entire night. And so he's often starting his cycling day at noon. I've seen him start his cycling at 2 in the afternoon, which is a completely foreign concept to me, because on my cycling trips in the past, I always aimed to be on the road as early as possible. I didn't, you know, at the beginning of the trip, you're not able to do it. You got to ease into that rhythm. But after a week or so of riding, I'm usually on the road at dawn or just before dawn. I mean, I can't sleep in anyway. I'm amazed. He's sleeping in a hammock, and then he's sleeping in a dorm room, a very inexpensive dorm room at a cheap hotel or hostel, which can be extremely noisy. And then he'll say, yeah, I slept in till noon. I'm like, how? You know, the sun comes up, I'm awake. The first motorcycle roars by on the highway, I'm awake. The first kids getting on the bus to go to school, the first door slam, someone talking on their smartphone in the dorm room, I'm awake. There's no way I'm sleeping till 11 or noon. But he's able to do it. And then he'll start his day of cycling at 2 in the afternoon or noon. And then he rides until the sun sets, and then he sets up his hammock down by the beach again and starts editing the video from the day. So yeah, very, very interesting process. And since he's posting a video every single day, obviously I can't talk about every video. I've watched every video, and I leave comments on his videos, and I've kept a copy of all the comments that I wrote. So I could talk about every video in detail, but I won't, because I'll be here all day. But for the average person, I think the most interesting videos would be from Ipoh. He really enjoyed Ipoh. But then after that, the island of Pangkor, which I had never heard of. I feel like I know a fair bit about Malaysia, at least from the Google Maps perspective. I spend most of my time in Kuala Lumpur, Port Dickson, and Georgetown, Penang, those 3 places. And so I've never been to Pangkor Island. I don't know if I'd ever heard of it. And as I told Daniel, if he had asked me for advice, I would have said, nah, there's no point. Like for him, his down-to-earth, low-budget lifestyle, I thought places like Langkawi would be of no interest to him, like beach resorts. Why would he go there? So I would say, I don't bother going to Langkawi. And then Pangkor, I don't know anything about it, but I would have said, nah, there's really no reason to go there. It must be a holiday island full of expensive beach resorts. Not really for you. But luckily, he didn't ask me, and I didn't tell him anything about it. So he did go to Pangkor Island. It looked like an amazing place. I would even go there. And yeah, I mean, he got there by ferry, and then he rode his bike along the shore, like going all the way around the whole island. And it looked like a really interesting place. Like a place where people really live. a rough and tumble kind of shoreline with normal houses. I mean, there were beaches, and around the beaches you saw like tourist shops where people can buy floaties for the ocean and souvenirs and things like that. So it has those sections, but even those sections look quite interesting. Yeah, the whole island was much more lived in, more normal, like normal people living regular lives there than I expected. So yeah, it looked like a great place. And he found a place to stay. He has an advantage over me in the low budget lifestyle because he has a very small amount of gear. He just has one small backpack that he straps to the back of his bike, and the bike is not expensive. So when he shows up at a hotel, he stays in the dorm room. He's always trying to keep his per night accommodation at $10 or less. And that means sleeping in a dorm because you're not going to get a hotel. Now, you're very rarely going to get a private room for under $10 in Malaysia. So he's often in a dorm room, and he can do that because he has one camera and a smartphone, and he can carry those with him all the time. So he doesn't really have any, and he has his passport and bank cards and things, so he can carry everything of value with him all the time. And he doesn't have a lot of stuff, so he can go into a dorm room and sleep on a bed, and it's not a big deal. And he can leave his bike outside. He just puts a lock on it and leaves it on the street. And if somebody steals it, no, it's $100, but no, it's not. Right now, it's worth $0. It's so broken down that it's of no value at all. So he doesn't have to worry about it. With my bike, is quite a bit more valuable and has a lot of history for me. It's personally important. So I would usually I get a single room because I have a lot of expensive gear, and I like to plug things in. You know, I need to settle in. I like to have my own kettle, make a cup of coffee, and I have so many electronics to plug in and recharge. And my bike, I have more bike gear. I have a bike trailer. And I like to bring my bicycle inside the room to keep it safe, and I don't want it to get rained on all night because it's going to start rusting. So I can't stay in a dorm. There's just no way. I couldn't sleep in a dorm anyway. The noise, other people, I can't handle it. So I always have to get at least a single room. So we're both looking for low budget hotels, but he can stay in dorm rooms. And I was thinking of that because he found this place on Pangkor called Shop Lot. Yeah, Shop Lot Hostel. That's like 9.8 out of 10 rating, I think, on Google Maps or wherever. Very good place, very popular place, and it has a dorm bed. So he was staying in a dorm there. And because all the other places were more expensive, like he wouldn't spend the money on a beach resort kind of place. He's looking for low budget. And he found a low budget hostel because he can stay in a dorm bed. But I couldn't do that because even on Shop Lot, they don't even have single rooms. They have dorm beds for single people, but then above that they have triple and quadruple rooms. They don't even have double rooms because it's more meant for families and groups to stay together. So this hostel, I couldn't even stay in that hostel. So, but he found an inexpensive place to stay. Interestingly, I've had a lot of chats with Daniel about the Malaysian tourism tax, and he's not always absolutely clear on the facts and figures. Like, he uses different vocabulary sometimes. I'm not always clear on exactly what he's talking about. But when I went to Agoda, because I looked at Shop Lot, I was curious. Oh, wow! If I go to Pangkor Island someday, can I stay there? How much would it cost for me? And when I looked at the pricing, it was always much more expensive for me. Like, he says how much it cost him to stay at these places, but when I check, especially if I'm looking for a single room, the price just skyrockets, or a double room, it's much, much more expensive. But for this place, the dorm room, when I looked on Agoda, charged the tourism tax of 10 ringgit per night. My understanding is the tourism tax applies to private rooms only, and that dorm beds, you don't have to pay the tourism tax, which makes sense because it is a per room tax. It's not a per person tax. So if you get a double room and there's 2 people staying in it, you're still being charged 10 ringgit per night, even though there's 2 people in the room. If you get a triple room or a quadruple room, same thing, it's 10 ringgit per room. But now, if you book a dorm bed, each individual person is now paying 10 ringgit per person. So if there's 10 beds in the room and there's 10 people in the room, they're getting 100 ringgit per night in tourism tax, 10 ringgit per person, which isn't the way it's supposed to work. So anyway, to me it seems like it's a mistake on Agoda's part. Like Agoda shouldn't be charging the tourism tax for a dorm bed. But when I try to book a dorm bed as part of the price, like it starts off at like 30 ringgit. It says, oh, 30 ringgit for a dorm bed, not bad price. When I get to the final window, they've added the state tax, the conservation tax, the heritage tax, the sales tax, the room cleaning fee, and the tourism tax. It's now about 60 ringgit. It doubles the price of even a dorm bed for me. It goes from 32 ringgit to 57 ringgit. And then if I try to get a single room, well, then you're back up into 80, 90 ringgit per night, which starts to get quite a bit more expensive. So, but anyway, he had a great time on Pankor, as far as I could tell. He really liked the place. I loved the look of the place. I would go there if I could find a reasonable accommodation to stay in. It looks like you could have a good adventure there. It isn't a hyper clean, organized tourism resort experience. It's like a real lived-in island. And you can go around and you see people with fishing boats and broken down houses. And on the negative side, perhaps, there was a lot of garbage, way more than you would expect to see. He rode his bike along some coastal roads that kind of dwindled away to a rough path. The pavement just sort of broke apart and the trees fell over the road, and he picked his bike up and carried it over the tree and continued. So he was out there having a real adventure, not just staying on the tourist beaches. And then he would find like vast fields of garbage, water bottles, stray dogs, wild dog packs. So it's kind of it would be an interesting place for me to visit, as I said. It's not like a beach resort experience. So yeah, Pankor Island was quite interesting. And then he continued along the coast. And then yesterday, as I said, he arrived in Kuala Lumpur. And I've sort of been throwing out some comments on his channel from time to time. And I did mention my personal experience in KL and Malaysia in general, that it is not really bicycle friendly, particularly Kuala Lumpur. Even Georgetown was crazy difficult to ride a bike around Georgetown for me, just because of the traffic and the one-way streets and the highways. Even quiet Georgetown was really hard to get around in. And KL for me is impossible. I gave up. I wouldn't even try to ride a bike in KL anymore, just because of the highway system. You run into barriers everywhere you go. You run into a huge expressway and there's no way to get across it. There might be the occasional pedestrian bridge, but then you got to pick up your bike and you got to climb up to go across. And then on the other side of the pedestrian bridge, I ran into this a few times. It would go into a shopping mall. And then now you're trying to get your bicycle through the shopping mall. I mean, it's just not geared for cycling or for walking, for that matter. Like individual little neighborhoods, yeah, you can find sidewalks and things and you can walk around. But as soon as you try to go from this neighborhood to that neighborhood, like go from Chinatown to KL Central on foot or on a bicycle, and you don't know the city that well, forget it. You're going to run into rivers, you're going to run into freeways, expressways, and there's just no way to get from one to the other until you know the secret way to get there, and it's not easy to figure out. So that's why I go everywhere in KL by LRT and MRT. So much easier. Before, even like way before I was a YouTuber, I was in KL as well, and I carried my bike up into my hostel. This was a hostel that had a big storage room, and I spoke to the hostel owner and said, "Can I put my bike in the storage room, because I ain't gonna be riding it in Kuala Lumpur anymore. And I just kept it indoors the entire time. And I went out on the LRT, walking, and MRT. But anyway, I was looking forward to the American Hobo getting to KL, and I want to see what his experience was. And he put a post. He hasn't posted the video yet. He had a really hard day. Started with a big storm, like a rainstorm. He was sleeping in his hammock at night, and a big storm moved in apparently. And then he rode over 100 kilometers from that beach to downtown Kuala Lumpur. And then, as he said, the only way I could do it was on the highway system. Like, he could not find any other way. So he spent 100 kilometers on this massive expressway with everything. And I haven't seen the video yet, so I don't know how bad it was. But in his post, he did say, KL is not cycle friendly. He had a lot of trouble getting into the city. So I'm looking forward to watching that video when he posts it to see exactly how he did it. And he ended up staying at a hotel, at a hostel, right in my neighborhood, which I know quite well. That area around Chinatown, like Pasar Seni Station, Masjid Jamek Station, that whole district, that's where I always stay when I'm in KL. And he picked out another hostel called The Explorers. He's very upfront with his personal details. He'll show it in the video exactly where he's staying, so I'm not giving away his location or anything. But he's staying at a place called The Explorers. I've never stayed there, again, because the rooms were too expensive, but they do have dorm rooms that I could afford, but I can't stay in a dorm room. So I never stayed at The Explorers, but I assume he got a dorm bed, and it would cost like 33 ringgit per night. On Agoda, I didn't do the whole final bill on The Explorers. Let me do that right now, just out of curiosity. I just looked it up on Agoda, and I put in one guest for one night for like 1 week in the future, and apparently I get a really good rate. It starts off saying normal price is 52 ringgit per night, but it says to me 20 ringgit per night with taxes. And I assume that's the dorm bed. You're not getting a room for 20 ringgit, that is for sure. So I just clicked on it, choose my room at The Explorers, and okay, a bed in a 6-bed mixed dormitory, or 1 bed in a 4-bed mixed dormitory, or 1 person in a 10-bed is 20 ringgit. And it says 20 ringgit per night with taxes. But I want to see what happens if I book it. It says you won't be charged yet. I don't want to be charged for a bed in Kuala Lumpur when I'm here at Planet Doug Studios in Sumatra. So it's busy calculating, and it says, okay, and this is a non-refundable price. Where is it? And the total price right now is 31 ringgit, which I always find a bit suspect by Agoda, because it said it clearly, 20 ringgit per night, including taxes. So it's implying, okay, this is the final price, but then when you click on it and reserve the room, now it says taxes and fees an additional 11.5 ringgit, and I assume that is the tourism tax, 10 ringgit per night, and then 1.5 ringgit for some sort of state tax. So it ends up being 31 ringgit, not 20, but I don't even know if that's the final price or not. It says next final step, you won't be charged yet. So do I dare risk it? Because I don't want to be charged. I'm not going to go any farther because I don't want to accidentally book this room. But I can see, right, because I'm just curious. Oh, it does have an information button. Yeah, it doesn't tell you anything. Like it says taxes and fees, 11.5 ringgit, but it doesn't break it down at this stage. I don't think it ever does. So I don't know for sure that's the tourism tax. But anyway, for me, if I book this dorm bed, it would cost me 31 ringgit per night at least, and then perhaps more on top of that if I go to the next step. It's hard to say. Anyway, let me back out of there. So anyway, that's where Daniel is staying. I don't know how long he's going to stay in KL. Of course, if he followed the Planet Doug recommended tour, he would be there for about a year to go to every museum, every restaurant, every market, on and on and on. Now every hiking trail. I don't think he's going to dive into the place as deeply as I have done in the past. So yeah, I don't know what he's going to do while he's there. He has his own interests, his own style, and yeah, we'll see what the American Hobo gets up to in Kuala Lumpur. That'll be really interesting. If he goes to some interesting places that I know people are familiar with, I will take his video and post a link to it to the Patreon or to Planet Doug or something like that. I told him, and I find it is very, very true, that YouTubers, they get a boost in Malaysia. That when they're traveling through Thailand, their videos might get 300 views or 200 views, video after video after video. Then they get into Malaysia, suddenly 20,000 views, 30,000 views, because Malaysians are just more likely to click on foreigners' travel vlogs for Malaysia. They just like to watch them. So I call that the Malaysian boost, and everybody gets them, but I don't see Daniel getting the Malaysian boost as yet. And it could be the same way that I don't really get the Malaysian boost because my videos are too long. I think that's a key killer to YouTube. I think about that more and more often, that if you have a long video, an hour or more, forget about it. You're just done. You'll get a few people, a core audience that are kind of invested in you and your life and what you're doing, and will check in with you from time to time, but that's all you're ever going to get. There's no way of getting beyond that point if you have hour-long videos. And Daniel, he posts an hour-long video every day. So like, I'm a dedicated watcher of his videos. I watch all of his videos from beginning to end, and even I really struggle to keep up because I don't have an hour every day to watch one of his videos. You know, you really have to work at it. So yeah, hour-long videos are demanding for your audience. So maybe that's why he's not getting the Malaysian boost. He's also not doing the YouTuber thing. He's much more laid back and he's just being himself. So you're not going to see a thumbnail of him with a shocked face, you know, going, you know, Kuala Lumpur blew my mind. It amazed me. I'm astonished. He's not doing the clickbait route, and he's not putting, you know, nasi lemak in a huge thumbnail. It's like, I love nasi. He's not catering. He's not pandering to the Malaysian audience. So maybe that's why he's not getting the Malaysian boost. And he's not going to the tourist attractions. For the most part, he's not highlighting the big, well-known attractions. He did go to Georgetown, but then he didn't do like the food tour of Georgetown. He went to Ipoh, but he didn't do the classic Ipoh food tour. And he passed by the Cameron Highlands. He was in Ipoh, and had he asked me for advice about where to go next, I was looking at Google Maps, and out of Ipoh, there's actually this amazing looking road, a very windy, curvy, serpentine mountain road that leaves Ipoh and goes up into the mountains and then circles back around through the central part of the Cameron Highlands and then kind of back to Ipoh. And I thought, well, that's the road you want to cycle. But I don't even know if his bike can get up that road or not, because it would be pretty steep climbing, and he doesn't have the gears for going uphill. So, but had he asked me for route suggestions, I would have said, oh, I would go to the east, up into the hills through Cameron Highlands, and then go that way and loop down into KL. But he decided to go for the coast. And I would have said, no, don't go to the coast. That's Langkawi and islands and big road systems. There's nothing very interesting over there. But yeah, he found Pancor Island, which turned out to be really, really interesting. But anyway, I'm basically saying he did not go to Cameron Highlands. So he doesn't have that as part of his thumbnail. And he never puts pictures of himself in the thumbnail. So there's no personal link. And even his video titles, they're all generic. It's all basically day 1, day 2 in Malaysia, day 3 in Malaysia, day 4 in Malaysia. And then it might say day 5 in Malaysia, Ipoh, or day 10 in Malaysia, Georgetown. But he doesn't hype it up. He doesn't give a subject and enticing people in with marketing. So maybe that's why he's not getting the Malaysian boost. But who knows? Maybe it will kick in at some point out of nowhere. Who knows how YouTube works? But I'm very interested to see what Daniel is going to do in Kuala Lumpur. And while he was in a coastal city before going to Pancor, and apparently he was in a bike shop or whatever. He probably had, I think he had to get something fixed. His brakes broke down somewhere. He had to get brakes fixed. Maybe that was then. But anyway, he came across a bike that was for sale, like normally 1,200 ringgit maybe, and it was on sale for 900 ringgit. And he had gone over his bike, the one he bought for $100, and it's falling apart. He already replaced all the spokes on the rear wheel. He had to replace all of them already because they all snapped. And then they're starting to break again. So he's probably gonna have to replace all the spokes again. He had to replace all the rear disc brakes, just fell apart. He had to get that whole brake assembly replaced. I think his derailleur doesn't work anymore, like changing gears on the rear wheel just doesn't work. So I could easily see he bought a $100 bike, and if he just brought it back up to normal, it's going to cost him like $200 just to replace the parts that are worn out. But here he had a bike for 900 ringgit, and 900 ringgit is a little bit over $200, right? I think I can do this very quickly. 900 ringgit is, $212. So probably for the same price of repairing his current bike, he could just buy a brand new, better bike. And he was talking about doing that. And I don't know what bike it was. I don't know whether it was suitable for touring. He did say it had 29-inch wheels. His current bike has 26-inch wheels, and it doesn't have a rear rack. Like, he just straps his backpack to the rear rack. So he would have to buy a rack for this new bike with the 29-inch wheels, or he'd have to invest a little bit of money in it. Not much, I don't think. And it was one of those bikes, the modern style with bikes is to have no front derailleur. So you just have one wheel for the chain on the front, and then all of the gears are on the rear wheel. And they tend to be all there. So it was like a single wheel on the front, like cogs, and then a whole bunch of them on the back. That's the kind of bike it was. So I don't know how low the gearing could go, whether it would be suitable for touring or not. But he's not really worried about that. The bike he has now isn't suitable for touring. Can't go uphill, so he's fine with that. But anyway, on Pancor Island, he was talking about should I, shouldn't I? And I thought he was leaning towards buying the bike. And I was really excited about that because I don't know anything about 29-inch wheels. I don't know anything about this new gearing system that all modern bikes have. And I thought it'd be a lot of fun. For me, vicariously, when somebody else is spending all the money, it's fun. You get to watch them. It's not your money being spent, they're spending the money, but you vicariously get to have the enjoyment of checking out the new bicycle and getting it set up. But then the next video he posted, he was still on his old bike, and he went, nah, I changed my mind. And I think when he said that, he was implying that he's going to end his bike ride in Malaysia. He was thinking about taking it with him to Sumatra, like following in my tire treads, because I told him about the ferry and how for $5 you can put your bike on a ferry and bring it to Sumatra. So if you want to bring your bike to Sumatra, taking the ferry is a good option. I told him about that, and he was going to do that, but now from his latest videos it sounds like he's rethinking. He wants to do river rafting or river traveling in Sumatra. So like spending a long time following a certain river. I don't really know anything about this river. And he was saying that, well, if he does that, what does he do with his bike? Like just leave it there and then go all the way down the river, and then he's got to go all the way back to get his bike. It started to seem like a hassle, so he's been changing his mind. Now he's talking about just using this original bike all the way through Malaysia, and then when he goes to Sumatra or goes to Indonesia, he'll just leave it behind, and he'll just grab his backpack and then go hop on a flight probably. He could still go by ferry, but he doesn't need to anymore. If he isn't bringing a bike, he can fly, and that would be a lot easier. But exactly what he's going to do, I don't know. So I'm a little bit disappointed that he didn't buy a new bike and that he's not going to take a bike to Sumatra. And I think partially the reason for that is he's been checking out the videos from Let's Go Cycling. This YouTuber from Morocco who's currently cycling in Sumatra. And I told American Hobo how tough it is in Sumatra already. The heat, the narrow roads, the huge amount of traffic. I mean, it's tough cycling, and the steepness of the roads. So, be prepared for that. So I already kind of gave him a heads up. And then he looked at the videos from Let's Go Cycling, and right out of the gate, the Let's Go Cycling guy was talking a lot about the truck traffic. Like, oh man, these trucks are just driving me nuts. There's too many trucks on the roads. So maybe Daniel, American Hobo, was like, ooh, okay, maybe cycling Sumatra, not a good combination. So maybe that's contributed to his decision to maybe not cycle in Sumatra. So yeah, that's the story of American Hobo. He's right now, I'm imagining he's inside the Explorer's Hostel on his phone and editing, and he's going to upload his my horrendous bike ride into Kuala Lumpur video. Let's see, I have him open on my phone right now. Just want to see whether he's posted anything new. Nope. No, it's still, he hasn't posted the video from cycling into KL. Yeah, I mean, the video is really going to be called Cheap Bicycle Across Malaysia, Day 24, Second Chan to Kuala Lumpur. That's going to be the title of the video. But I think if he wants the Malaysian boost, he really should drop that naming convention, and he should call the video, basically, it would not be clickbait at all, depending on the experience he had. My hellacious arrival in Kuala Lumpur by bicycle. I almost died. Something, who knows? Because it sounds like he had to get on the expressway and ride on the expressway, probably illegally, all the way into Kuala Lumpur, because quite often that's the only way to do it. That's what I had to do. I talk about it all the time. When I arrived in Malaysia many, many years ago now, I arrived at the airport with my bike, and then I put my bike together inside the airport, and then I was rolling my bike through the airport because it was my luggage, and then I was surrounded by a Malaysian SWAT team. A whole bunch of men with guns surrounded me because they saw me in the monitors with a bicycle in the airport, and they kicked me out of the airport. They frog marched me at gunpoint out of the airport and said, you can't have a bike in the airport. And I tried to explain to them, no, I didn't bring my bike into the airport. I just landed. My bike came off the plane, and I'm rolling it out of the airport right now. But the soldiers, they wouldn't even listen to me. They would not talk to me at all. They just held me there, and then they frog marched me out of the airport. That was my arrival in Malaysia on a bicycle at the airport. And then when I tried to get into KL from the airport, back in those days, I didn't even have a smartphone. So I had no laptop, no tablet, no smartphone. I didn't know about Google Maps back then. And I just bought a paper map at a bookstore in the airport, And then I couldn't figure out a way to get into KL that wasn't on the highway, the major expressway. And that was just nuts because the traffic, you know, there's a pretty big shoulder, which is fine. But as you're going down the expressway, you have all the on-ramps, right? All the on-ramps and the exit ramps. And the cars and the trucks and the motorcycles that are using an on-ramp and exit, they're driving at full highway speed. They're entering and exiting at 100, 120 kilometers an hour. And then you on your bicycle have to get across those access ramps without getting hit. And it was crazy, crazy difficult. By the time I rode from the airport into Kuala Lumpur, I was a wreck. I was absolutely finished. And then just trying to navigate Kuala Lumpur, my original hostel was called the Bird's Nest. It doesn't exist at that location anymore, but it was right in Chinatown beside Pasar Seni Station. And then I was trying to get there and I could not figure out a way to get there. Just the road system in KL blocked by highway after highway. It was just crazy, crazy difficult. And I never got arrested on the expressway. You know, you'd think the police would have spotted me and kicked me off somehow. But and then later on, I rode my bicycle out of KL. I rode my bike from KL to Port Klang. And then I put my bike on the ferry in Port Klang to go to Sumatra the very first time. And that was also the only thing I could figure out. I ended up on the highway system again. I tried to follow secondary roads, but I couldn't find any secondary roads. All roads put me right back onto the expressway. There's no way I could get off it. And that's my experience of cycling in the KL area. And then we'll see the American Hobo. Maybe he had the same sort of experience. We'll see how that turns out. So, YouTube story number 1, American Hobo. YouTube stories number 2 from Let's Go Cycling. This is the guy that I already mentioned if you heard my previous YouTube story. A young man from Morocco who he's been riding a bicycle around the world for a long time now, maybe 2 years. And then he didn't have a YouTube channel before, but he started recording videos and posting them to a YouTube channel when he was in Thailand, I think. He landed in Thailand and then he was cycling through Thailand and he started a YouTube channel. So his most recent videos are all from Sumatra, which is why I'm interested in him. So I watch all his Sumatra videos. And I think the most recent one is video 46. Yeah, the most recent one is video 46. Best day in Indonesia. They gave me gifts. And the one before that was video 45. A day I'll never forget with amazing Indonesian people. So as I said when I was talking about the American Hobo, that this Moroccan guy, Let's Go Cycling guy, he just about arrived in Bukit Tinggi. He went through Payakumbuh. He didn't go to the Harau Valley. And then I thought, oh, this is going to be really cool. He's going to explore Bukit Tinggi. He's going to go to all these places that I know. I know that region quite well. But he just turned left, boop, and went down like a side road. And he decided basically to skip all of that area. And I talked about that in my previous video, actually. And I found it kind of funny because I feel like if I had done that, I would never hear the end of it. Like, what? Why don't you go to Bukit Tinggi? Why don't you go here? Why don't you go there? Why did you skip this? Why didn't you go here? Like, it's so crazy. Why did you go all the way to West Sumatra and then you didn't go to any of the beautiful places in West Sumatra? I would never hear the end of it, but in his case, he just skipped all of West Sumatra and just went down a local side road, and people don't seem to mind. Most of the comments on his videos up to this point, as I've talked about, have been fear-based, giving him helpful advice, but basically harping on, oh, it's so dangerous there. You should not camp outside. Make sure you go to a village and stay with a family because there are so many tigers and snakes and thieves and on and on. People have this image of Sumatra as a very dangerous place. And I agree, it is a relatively dangerous place for a cyclist, but it's got nothing to do with venomous snakes or hungry meat-eating tigers. It's mainly the roads, the trucks, that riding a bike there is a threat to your physical health, but it's also a threat to your mental health. Like, even if the trucks don't actually hit you, like hour after hour on the Sumatran roads, you know, woo, 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 the trucks going by, it has an effect on your brain. Yeah, it stresses you out. So yeah, I think there's a danger there, but all the other dangers are just fantasies, I think. But anyway, so most of the comments were based on that. And then a lot of comments, you know, welcome to Sumatra, and just very positive. We love your videos and love this. And nobody told him, what? You didn't go there and you didn't go there, and why did you go there? And nobody's offering any of that kind of criticism, which I find kind of funny. But I kind of like his choices, to be honest, because you do see on YouTube in general so many YouTuber travelers claiming that they go to places where nobody else, you know, we don't go to the tourist places, we get off the beaten path. And everybody beats that drum endlessly. And yet when they watch their video, well, they just went to the same places as everybody else. And there's nothing wrong with that, because everybody goes to those places because they are amazing places. You know, Harau Valley. Let me look up the name of this volcanic lake. It's driving me crazy that I'm claiming to be a Sumatran expert, and I can't even think of the name of like the most beautiful place in West Sumatra, this crater lake in a volcano. Let me look up the name, then I'll get back to you. Yes, I knew the name, I just couldn't come up with it. Maninjau. So Lake Maninjau, and that's the name of the village, the main village right at the shoreline too. And they have this famous road there called Gelok 44. So it's like the road of 44 curves, because it's essentially, Lake Maninjau is inside a massive volcano. It's just like Lake Toba. You know, Lake Toba 65,000 years ago was like almost like a geological extinction event for the planet. That eruption was so huge, and yeah, it altered the temperature of the planet because it threw so much debris into the sky because of this volcanic eruption. And then this massive volcanic crater was formed and filled in with water and became Lake Toba. And Lake Maninjau is exactly the same thing, a massive volcanic eruption, and now it formed this crater with a lake. So when you go there, you're basically following a road that goes up to the lip of the volcano, then you look down into this interior bowl with a lake at the bottom, and then the road has to go down the crater edge, 44 curves down, 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 down. It's amazing. It's a stunning place. So, and it's only, like, it's barely any distance outside of Bukittinggi at all. I went there by scooter. By that point, I'd given up on my bicycle even in Sumatra, because the roads were just way too steep, way too dangerous. And in order to go to all these places I wanted to visit, like the Harau Valley, Lake Maninjau, Padang, would have taken weeks on my bike to cover all those distances, and I needed to go to them relatively quickly. So I rented a scooter, and I left my my bicycle in a village house. I was staying in this house in the village with a family, and yeah. So anyway, from Bukittinggi to Lake Maninjau is 33 kilometers. So once you're in Bukittinggi, you can go to this amazing lake. It's 33 kilometers away. You can do it as a day trip. So it's an amazing place to go. But Let's Go Cycling guy, he didn't go there. But I guess I went off on this tangent because what I wanted to say was, like, there's nothing wrong with going to the tourist places, because they're amazing places. That's why tourists go there. And to skip Lake Maninjau and Harau Valley and all these places, amazing places around Bukittinggi, I would never hear the end of it. People would tell me that I was a moron and an idiot. But Let's Go Cycling, you know, he didn't go to any of these places and it was fine. But then he could claim in his video, I went off the beaten path, because he did. He didn't even go to Bukitingi. He just found this local small road and went, oh, I wonder what's down there. And zoom, off he goes down this really rough road into this area that nobody goes to. Like no foreign visitor would ever go there. And he's staying in all these local villages, having these genuine encounters with local people. So he could claim, like, I don't go where the tourists go. I go off the beaten path. But I don't know whether he's done it on purpose. My suspicion is he doesn't even know. Like, he wasn't aware of the Harau Valley, Lake Maninjau, Padang. He didn't even know about these places. And because his visa was only for 30 days and he needed to get somewhere to an immigration office to extend it, he had time pressures. So he basically was looking at the map and, well, I got a straight line. I got to get going to get here because I don't have enough time. And I think that's why he did it. But anyway, that is what he did. And in his last 2 videos, he was in this small town, and he got very lucky. I've had this experience myself from time to time, where he was staying in this local, small, family-run hotel, a low-budget kind of place. And it turns out that the owner of the hotel, Mr. Yu, was very gregarious, very generous, very outgoing kind of guy, and he was like a well-known figure in the community and almost like a local celebrity. So when this Moroccan YouTuber cyclist was staying at his hotel, he basically took the Let's Go Cycling guy under his wing and said, hey, let me show you the town, and took him to places to show him the local food, the local drinks, the local market, put him on the back of his scooter, took him to his family's village where they're having there was like a baptism sort of deal, not a baptism, but a celebration of the birth of a child, a traditional celebration for this family, and he was able to take part in the celebration. And then in the next video, Mr. Yu picked him up again and says, okay, let's go, and showed him all these other places. And the highlight of the day was going to a local wedding, a big local wedding. They're big events here. They put up a big stage with a sound system, elaborate clothing, ceremonies, tradition, a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, a lot of food. It's a big, big deal. And then Mr. Yu brought Let's Go Cycling to the wedding, and he became the star of the show. They got him up on stage, handed him the microphone, and he spoke in English with Mr. Yu translating. And then he exchanged, I guess he got a gift from the bride and the groom, or he said, I don't remember that part of the video, but he says in his title, they gave me gifts. And he basically, it's kind of a YouTuber staple, isn't it? Like attending a local wedding. If you are a YouTuber travel vlogger, it's required of you to go to a local wedding, and more about that in a minute. So yeah, that's what the video was about. And it was kind of interesting to me because, like I said, this has happened to me in the past where the local celebrity sort of takes you around, and this can be both a good and a bad thing, because usually these people are unstoppable forces where they pick you up in the morning because you think you're going to go have coffee with this guy and have a nice conversation. 14 hours later, you're finally back at your hotel because you've been a prisoner the entire day, and it turned out that he took you like to 10 different places, just food and drink and food and here, and you have no idea what's going on. You can't communicate. He's not the kind of guy to slow down and have like a serious conversation. He's just like full on energy talking, and you don't understand what he's talking about, and he brings you here and he brings you there. And me, I mean, I enjoy that for about 2 hours, and then I'm done. I mean, I need a break and I need to retreat. But of course, when they pick you up in their vehicle and kidnap you, well, you're gone for the day and you've lost all control of your destiny. So I tend to be I pull back a little bit when I feel this happening. If I'm in a village or a local town and then the local character starts, let's go tomorrow, let's go here, I'll bring you there. And then you try to nail them down, like, okay, so what are we talking about exactly? You're coming at 8 o'clock on a motorcycle, and we're gonna go where? What are we gonna do when we get there? And when are we coming back? Like, I need to know in advance that this is not gonna go on for the rest of my life. But it's really, really hard to do. And even when they give you a kind of a rough itinerary, they won't stick to it. They won't tell you the truth. 14 hours later, you're finally back at your hotel and you are exhausted, and so that, and the whole lack of language, to communicate can be quite frustrating. It's very stressful. It drains your energy. Anyway, so I was watching his videos where this happened to him with Mr. Yu, and I could relate to so much that was going on. And then he ended up at this wedding, and I don't know if he knew in advance that he was going to a traditional wedding and was going to be the star of the show, because he was just dressed normally. Like, if he gets on his bike, he's wearing like a dirty t-shirt, dirty shorts, sandals, and that's it. That's how he lives. But now he's at this wedding where everyone, the bride and the groom in particular, are just like dressed to the nines in the most beautiful, elegant, traditional clothing with the makeup and like perfection. Everybody is dressed up for the wedding. And you, the dumb foreigner, I'm here for the wedding. And you're there in your t-shirt that's full of holes that hasn't been washed in a month, and sandals and shorts with your hairy legs sticking out. I would be a little bit self-conscious. It's like, I wish I knew, because we could have visited the local shop and we could have bought a traditional Batak, clothing, a shirt at least, and long pants, and I could dress up for the wedding. That would have been nice, right? So, but anyway, I watched this video and it got me thinking about a TV show from ages ago, decades ago, back in the days when Lonely Planet guidebooks were the beating heart of backpacker travel. And Lonely Planet was a big operation back then, and they had their own TV show. And in the TV show, it was basically like a modern, like this guy's travel vlog, his 30-minute video, is like an exact copy of what the Lonely Planet travel show was. And nobody back then had seen anything like it before, because before Lonely Planet, travel shows were big budget cinematic things where they, tourism basically, and they show you all the beautiful hotels and how to book your car, how to rent a car at the airport, and they wine you and dine you. There was no low budget backpacker travel show, but then Lonely Planet produced one, and the whole show was basically a day in the life of a backpacker. And they had these hosts, and the most popular one by far was he's either Scottish, he might have been Scottish, they tend to be quite the characters, a guy called Ian Wright, and he was a young backpacker, and he would be the star of the episode, and he might be in Ecuador, he might be in Uganda, like anywhere in the world. Actually, I did a bit of research and I asked AI about him, like how many episodes was he in. It's not on my phone, but he was in a lot of episodes, a lot more than I thought. But when you watch, it was called Lonely Planet at the beginning, and then it would change to Globe Trekker. And then in Canada, I think it had a third name, but I think Globe Trekker is the name most people would know this show by. But they do follow a little bit of a formula. The same, like a tourism video would follow a formula, but a backpacker video is more about immersion in the local culture. So again, there's a pattern to it. So you're a backpacker, they're shooting a video about your day. Well, you've got to go to the local market and you've got to see them cutting up the fish, the fresh fish from the ship and the pig head on display, the crickets and the cockroaches and the fried tarantulas that the local people eat. You got to have some of the local food. So you always got the local food segment, quite often exotic local food. And then you've got to have, the interaction with the locals section. And then there's always, always, always the wedding section. Almost every episode of Globe Trekker, the backpacker would just stumble across a local wedding, become part of the wedding, join them for the wedding feast, go up on stage, sing and dance with the microphone with the bride and groom, and they become part of the wedding ceremony. So every single Globe Trekker episode, Act 3 was go to the local wedding. So now when I watch YouTuber travel videos, like on YouTube now, I wait for the exact same thing. And there's always the segment where the YouTuber goes to the local wedding. Sometimes they're much more planned. I remember watching some in Malaysia, for example, some of the Malaysian, or not Malaysian, but foreign YouTubers that go to Malaysia, and they get that Malaysian boost. They get very excited, and they really dive deep into Malaysian culture, and they would often end up at a Malaysian wedding, but it's much more choreographed, where they know they're going to the wedding, and they make sure they dress up in full wedding gear, and it's a whole production. Not like Let's Go Cycling was sort of a spur of the moment thing where he's on the back of a scooter in his sandals and shorts, and oh, by the way, we're going to my niece's wedding. And he's like, what, where, what, who? And then he ends up star of the show, dressed that way. But it's something I've seen over and over and over. And I was thinking about it in particular because I've done it. Like in the past, as a traveler, as a backpacker, you always run into local weddings and you get invited to join them. Local hospitality. So I have done it multiple times in my life where I've attended the local wedding. Now here I am, I'm a YouTuber, and I should be going to all these local weddings, and I have so many opportunities to do so, but now I have the opposite reaction. Like here in Tanjung Balai, the times that I've been here recently, there have been weddings everywhere. The exact experience that Let's Go Cycling had, it's going on around me all the time. Huge weddings. What they do here, they're outdoor weddings. They build a stage, like they hire a company that does this professionally, and you tell them, well, how big or small your wedding is going to be, and they put together the proper stage for you and the sound system for you, and then the street will be blocked. They will actually build a concert stage with a sound system, put up barriers, lay out a couple hundred chairs, and then they have this huge wedding out in the open with like rock concert level sound. I've had wedding after wedding after wedding right here in this neighborhood, right beside my hotel. And then when they fire up that sound system, it blasts into this room like I'm in the middle of a rock concert. And if I wanted to, I could have grabbed my GoPro when that wedding started, and if I took my GoPro and walked out into the street and just walked near the wedding, everybody there would, hey, hello, what is your name? Where are you from? And come. And they would make me, or at least they would invite me to join the wedding, and I would have a meal with them, and I would be up on stage, and they would ask me to sing, dance, toast the bride and groom, whatever the traditions are. But I had the opposite reaction, where when a wedding started up right beside, I made sure to sneak out of my hotel because I just wasn't ready for that experience. And I feel this YouTuber pressure that, well, if you are lucky enough to have that experience, well, you should at least film it for YouTube. But I felt kind of weird about that, like the foreigner YouTuber crashing their wedding. Any wedding anywhere on the planet, the star is the bride, right? The center of attraction is, and is supposed to be, the bride. The bride is there to look radiant, to look beautiful. She is what the whole wedding is about. And then you show up, hey, I'm a YouTuber. Here's my GoPro. Can I join your wedding? And then I would feel like, well, they invited me. They practically forced me onto the stage, but I would feel weird about it. Like I'm not here to be the star of the show. It's about the bride. I would feel a bit like it would be presumptuous on my part, a bit intrusive. I mean, it worked out for Let's Go Cycling because he was in the middle of the countryside, way off the beaten path, where no foreigner ever goes, and he knows Mr. Yu. Mr. Yu was like the master of ceremonies, and he took him under his wing and invited him to the wedding, and I think everything was absolutely fine. But in my time here in Tanjung Balai, I swear, every time I go out on my bicycle, I run into a wedding, like on the weekend in particular. During the week, you run into the wedding platform, the stages. They're either building them or tearing them down during the week, one or the other. And every time you try to go down a road, your way is blocked because there's another wedding stage being set up or being dismantled. And if it's on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, well, now the weddings are happening, and everywhere I go, I run into a wedding, and I see one ahead of me on the road. I'm like, whoa, no. And I go down a different road because, I just don't want to get sucked into the wedding. I wasn't ready to do it on that day, sort of thing. So I have not done the wedding experience for a very long time, and I don't think I've ever done it on YouTube. As I was talking about earlier, I was at the carnival, and at the carnival, it looked like maybe, in retrospect, they were inviting me to come up on stage, but I didn't do it at the carnival either. But we'll see. If I do end up doing any cycling here, and I'm out in the countryside, and there's a village, and I stay in the village, and Mr. Yu comes into my life, and I get invited to the wedding, well, I could see myself doing it. But I would like to take advantage of that to learn about the wedding, what are the traditions, and then put on the appropriate clothing to go to the wedding. Have it a little bit more of an organized thing rather than just, hey, here I am, and my name's Doug, and here's my GoPro, and now I'm part of your wedding, right? I don't want it to be like that if I can help it. But anyway, so that is the Moroccan YouTuber Let's Go Cycling. One other YouTube video I wanted to talk about, hopefully briefly, is from the Food Channel, probably the biggest one on YouTube, the Best Ever Food Review Show. And I think the star is Sunny. I think that's his name, right? The guy, Sunny. He started off making his own videos like a regular YouTuber, I think. And that back then, I'm sure he chose the name, the Best Ever Food Review Show. A little bit of a tongue-in-cheek, a little bit of a joke, I think, when he started it, because there would have been a lot of food videos on YouTube, and now here he is making a new one. And just as a joke, maybe he called it, well, mine is the Best Ever Food Review Show. But I wonder if he regrets the joke now, because it's turned into a massive thing. It's like it's now a corporation. It's a company making these videos. And I wonder if he often wishes, I wish I'd chosen a little bit more of a professional, sedate name. But I always wonder about that. But anyway, this one that I saw, I think it's his most recent video, is from Afghanistan. And it's called Surviving Afghanistan's Extreme Street Food. Really good video. I mean, if you're in the YouTube world, making YouTube videos or trying to, or watching a lot of them, you kind of get a sense of quality, and you watch this video, it's like, wow, so well done. And then you start to think, wow, how can a YouTube video be that good? And then you feel quite embarrassed about your own amateur productions. But then you do have to remind yourself that I think he has, like in some of his videos, someone reminded me that he had a crew of 22 people. So a staff of 22 people, camera operators, audio, microphone operators, set location production crew, editors. Like he has a whole team of people in an office in Vietnam. All they do is edit his videos. He is now just the host. He's the star of the show, but he's not editing the videos himself. He has professionals doing it for him. I'm sure he has control over what's going on and he has input into it, but he's not doing all the work to make a video like that. It's taking a team of 10 to 22 people to do it. So from that point of view, it's like, wow, yeah, okay, it's a professional television production now at this point. So it's really, really well done. In terms of the shots of the food, the information about the food, all the ingredients, the cooking process, and of course all the locations and the sets, and then the music and the transitions and the introduction to the video. It's perfectly done. It is such an amazing video, so much fun to watch, and I'm not even into food. So, and I watched the whole video from beginning to end and I was mesmerized by it. The food looked like it would kill me. Like, I don't even know how much food he ate in one day. I got the impression that all of that video was shot in one day, which seems crazy to think about, but he kept mentioning that he's doing, it's not in the title, but he was doing like $100 challenge. Like, can we spend $100 on street food in Afghanistan? Is it even possible? And I won't give away the ending, like whether he did manage to spend $100. Did it cost a lot more than $100, a lot less than $100? Who knows what's going to happen? But he did talk about that, which made it sound like he had one day, he was going to try like 10 different foods, and can I spend $100 on all the best street food of Afghanistan? So there was a lot of food in this video, and a lot of it looked really challenging. The spicing, like here's the food, hot spicing, and then you see the cooking process, and it looks like at every step evil bacteria could end up in that food that's going to make me sick again. And then the drink would be like some sort of crazy yogurt sour fermented concoction that's coming out of this big drum, and Sonny is just like eating the food, and here's a big tumbler full of yogurt sour stuff, and he's like putting that down, and then he goes on to the next meal and the next and the next. Just one of those meals, I'm sure I'm done for a month. I would be so sick for the rest of the month. And he did like 10 of those meals in one day. How he survives, I don't know. Maybe he travels with a stomach pump and he eats a huge meal and then just sort of pumps it all out again and make room for the next meal. I don't know. Or maybe it was spread out over several days. I'm not really sure. But anyway, amazing video, really entertaining, really enjoyable. But I'm not that interested in food or food videos, so I don't have a lot to say about that. What interested me is watching that video, and then you get a perception, like what was the experience like? Like if you're someone who values travel experiences, exotic places, local experiences, you look at that video and you get very, very jealous. You're like, oh man, that must have been so amazing to go to Afghanistan and then have all these experiences. Wow, that must have been wonderful. It must have been incredible. I wish I could do that. But peel back the curtain a little bit, or not even a little bit, or at all. What was the actual experience like? So, like, for me, you say to me, Doug, we're sending you to Kabul, we're sending you to Afghanistan, and all expenses paid, here's your ticket, here's where you're staying, and you can have this experience. I want 2 months. I want 2 months in that city sampling. Like all the food that he had, for me, that would be, I would have to spread that out over at least a month. So like Monday, I have the breakfast that he had with the yogurt drink. And that's my Monday experience. And that's the only experience I'm going to have on Monday. because it's going to be so in-depth, so full on. I'm going to have the experience, and then I want the whole day to enjoy it, to absorb it, to get ready, to relive it afterwards. And then, of course, in my case, to edit the video and download the video. So that's one full day experience. And I probably need day number 2 just to edit the video of that experience. So one meal, 2 full days. And then just being in Afghanistan. And now I can do the next meal. So if I had 10 meals, I need 20 days just for those meals. 1 meal per day, and then a second day just to recover from that experience. And then just to absorb all of, and you have to imagine that you had to work really hard to even get into Afghanistan. The visas, the permits, whatever it is you had to do, booking the flight, flying in, I would need 2 days to recover from the flight, arriving in Afghanistan. And he did talk a little bit about this at the end of the video. That was my favorite part of the video. He actually anticipated this. And then he put a little epilogue at the end of the video where he said, oh, by the way, if you are watching this video and you are inspired to come to Afghanistan to do these things, think twice. This is not the whole story. The real story, everything else that happened, we can't even show you. So he's hinting, and he had a little bit of a video clip, he's hinting about all the guns, all a little bit of hostility from soldiers and the Taliban, the people in charge of Afghanistan, at the airport, the bureaucracy, the permits, the visas, the confusion, the security. He was saying there was a lot there. So you watch this video, you think Afghanistan is amazing. It is, but think before you think you're going to have this experience. It's not going to be what you think, really. So I always think about this, where when is a YouTube video, a travel video, when is a television travel video false? When is it selling you on an image that really doesn't reflect what the reality was? And one of these food shows in Afghanistan is a very good example of that, because I watched the video and I instantly had this feeling of jealousy, like, wow, what an experience. Because he had an interpreter with him who helped him go to these places. You know, when I go out into Tanjung Balai, it takes a lot of work just to have a meal in a new restaurant. How do you order here? What do they make here? What is it called? How do you eat it? It's a full-on project, and it's exhausting. And if you had your own interpreter, a full-time interpreter to go with you everywhere, it would make it so easy, right? So you don't see that in the final product, how much support he had, how much help he had. But as far as I know, maybe he spent 1 month working on logistics, planning the trip, organizing the trip, hiring staff, getting all the visas. It could have been 6 months. I don't know how long this trip was being planned. And then he has the flight into Afghanistan with his entire team, all the cameras, all the microphones, all the cables, all the computers, all the technology. Can you imagine how much work that would be? And then maybe he had 1 day shooting all the street food, and now they're done and they leave the country. So when you look at it from that point of view, now you say, Doug, do you want to do that? No, I don't want to do that. That sounds like a nightmare. That's a horrible experience. It would be miserable from beginning to end. Nothing but hassle, nothing but bureaucratic trouble. All that work for 1 day of eating street food in Kabul? No, that would be ridiculous. I would like to go to Kabul for 2 months and try all that food and have all these experiences. That would be worth it. So you see what I mean? So for me, there's always this dichotomy, what the video presents as an experience, the image it presents, and then what it was really like to live that experience. And how you live that experience is usually a lot worse than it looks in the final video. I think about every video like that, and that's kind of the philosophy that informs my Planet Doug videos, because I can't get past this idea that I do not want to present some sort of curated fantasy of amazing experiences. I just like to record more like a journal. Like, I recorded a 30-minute or 40-minute story about just extending my visa here the last 2 days. I mean, just that consumes far more of my time and energy than amazing foodie experiences in Sumatra. There's all this stuff, getting your visa, extending your visa, getting sick, being sick for many days, having to get antibiotics and healing yourself. And I don't know, that is the real experience, not the curated, amazing thing that you could put together for YouTube. So yeah, I struggle with that a little bit, where I would like to put together how, like, even going to the carnival here, I mean, in the end, I mean, if I had to break it down based on like a pleasure rating, going to the carnival here for me was distinctly unpleasurable. There was nothing pleasurable about it. I was overwhelmed with the heat and the noise and the crowds and the confusion. There was nothing fun about it in any way. But it was still interesting. I mean, it was an interesting experience. It was new and it was different, but there was nothing nice about it at all. So when it comes to making a video about going to the local carnival, you know, how do you present that story? You can pretend that, wow, it was so amazing. I went to this carnival yesterday and the food was amazing and it was so much fun. And no, none of it was fun. It was really hard work. Both times I went to the carnival, it was really hard to do. So yeah, anyway, that's an interesting thought for me. But yeah, that is Sunny and the best ever food review show. I think that's what it's called. Amazing video, really highly recommended. Yeah, very, very cool. Last segment for today. Again, I'm talking much longer than I thought I would and than I planned to. But anyway, pop culture roundup. And the main thing I'm going to talk about is a TV show called Invasion. And it's an older show, and it came back onto my radar because I stumbled across an announcement about season 3. Season 3 of Invasion is on its way. And when I saw that, I went, oh yeah, Invasion, I remember that. And I remember liking it a lot. And I remember being very impressed by it. So I thought, if season 3 is coming out, I think I need to refresh my memory, because then I thought, have I even seen season 2? I know I saw season 1, and then there was a season 2, but I thought, I don't think I've even seen it. So for me, being a pop culture addict, that was like discovering a treasure trove. It was like, an entire season of a sci-fi epic. Season 2 that I haven't even seen yet. It was like, like Sunny in the food review show, you tell him about yogurt drink in Kabul, he might go, I can't wait. I don't react that way to food, but you tell me that there's an entire 10-episode season of a sci-fi show, high quality show that I haven't seen before. I'm like, I am so excited and I am so happy. So I went back in time and I've already rewatched all of season 1, 10 episodes of season 1, and I started the first episode of season 2, and I'm very happy to say, no, I haven't seen season 2. So all of season 2 is going to be brand new to me, and I am so excited for that. And now we've got season 3 coming up sometime this year, maybe. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm very, very excited about that. A couple of details about it, I guess. Created by Simon Kinberg. He's known for The Martian and X-Men as writer and producer. And a guy named David Whale, who is connected with Hunters and Solos. The first season was on Apple TV, premiered October 22nd, 2021, and season 2 was released. Season 3 has been confirmed and is in production. And according to what I saw online, they say that Kinberg had long wanted to do an alien invasion story from a global, human-centric perspective. And that's what jumped out at me about season 1. And it's what I liked about it. Because, you've got alien invasion. We've all seen it a million times. But they tend to be in one country, right? Usually the United States. And then the story is told from headquarters, where you have this omniscient viewpoint where the government is involved. So you as the viewer, you see everything and you know everything because you're dealing with the crisis from the point of view of the people who are in the middle of the story. So even something like Independence Day, set in the United States, and in Independence Day, the movie, it's about normal people. Like Will Smith is just a normal Air Force pilot, I think. And then you got a whole bunch of other characters who are just normal people, like a crop duster pilot, a bunch of kids that live in a trailer park, a school teacher. These are just normal people, and you see the invasion from their point of view, but they do all these plot things where they actually get pulled into the White House. They meet the president, they meet the generals. So even though you do get the perspective of the average person, those average people actually gets pulled into the story where they're aware of what the government is doing, what the army is doing, what the president is doing. So that's how most invasion stories are told, from the central government military fight against the aliens. That's the perspective. And it's usually in one country. But I really love it when I come across a story that has a true global perspective. Like even like Close Adventures of the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the Spielberg movie. What I always loved about that movie is how it opens with an international flavor. It's almost like a cinematic news reporting from India, from France, from all over the globe, people speaking in other languages. Like these shows acknowledge that the United States is not the world. English is not the only language on the planet. People all over the world speak their own languages and have their own experiences. So we see Close Encounters of the Third Kind from all these vantage points from all over the world. And even the central characters are speaking French and Hindi and other languages. And I really, really enjoy that. And now Invasion doubles down on that, this TV show, because it's global. It shows the story from all kinds of different countries. The main characters do tend to speak English, even if they're not born in the UK or the United States or Canada or wherever. They could be from other countries around the world, but within the show, they're sort of in an English environment and they're speaking English with an accent sort of thing. So they do tend to be speaking in English, but they're from all these different countries around the world. And everybody is looking at the invasion from a normal human perspective. So you have like there's a soldier is one of the characters, for example. So he's a little bit in the heart of things, being part of the military. He's a SEAL, a Marine SEAL, or I don't know if SEALs are Marines, but he's in Afghanistan, and he has an encounter as the alien invasion is kicking off. But the thing is, he doesn't know what's going on. Like he doesn't know any more than anybody else. He's not in the White House. He's not up there in a satellite. He doesn't know what's happening. He has no information. So he only sees a tiny part of this alien invasion. He looks out over the desert and he sees a dust storm. And he's like, what the heck is that? And then he goes out to the dust storm to investigate with his men, and then he has this bizarre encounter with some sort of otherworldly phenomenon, but that's all he knows. His perspective is limited to what he sees and experiences directly. Then we skip over to a bunch of school children in the UK on a bus. They're in the middle of when the alien invasion starts to happen, but they don't know what's going on either. They don't even know that they're aliens. They don't even know that there's an invasion, because all they know is what they see around them. So they only know what average people know. And then there's a Japanese woman, two women. One is an astronaut and the other one is working for the Japanese equivalent of NASA. They're sending a rocket up into space to send astronauts to a space station. So of course they know a little bit more about things going on, but then again, all they really know is that there was an accident on the space station and weird things are happening. And they don't know either. Like, nobody has the eagle eye point of view where they know everything that's going on. So as a viewing experience of a TV show, that's the mood that you get. It's not like Independence Day where you're at the White House calling the generals, calling for military action. You don't know what's going on. It's all, nobody knows anything. Information is in limited supply, and you're deep in the chaos and the confusion along with normal people. It's like you are experiencing the invasion how a normal person would, where all you know is you hear a siren going off and then jets go screaming by overhead, and then the power goes out and you hear an explosion and there's panic and confusion, and you run out onto the streets and houses have been destroyed, but you don't know what destroyed the houses, and it's just rumor and miscommunication and misinformation, and then you just try to survive. And I like that. I really like that approach. Of course, the show is not for everyone. If you watch the trailer, for example, go to YouTube and watch the trailer for Invasion Season 1, I think 90% of the comments will be negative, and people will be saying, this is the dumbest show I've ever seen, it's stupid, it's boring, nothing happens. That's going to be the average comment, I think, if you look. And people are going to say, yeah, I watched 3 episodes and I gave up because it's so slow. And it is a slow burn. The show is a very slow burn, and there are some frustrating elements to the show, even for me. But overall, I loved it. I loved Season 1, and I was so excited for Season 2. I have some issues with the show that I could get into, I won't bother with. But for the average person, maybe it's too slow and not enough of that central perspective where you know what's going on. And it's really heavy in the human emotional drama. And even there, I had enough of it, where, for example, the soldier in Afghanistan having this weird encounter with something otherworldly, suddenly he wants to go home to his wife back in the United States. He misses his wife. He wants to reunite with his wife. And after a while, as a viewer of the show, I'm like, all right already, you miss your wife. You made mistakes with your wife. You want to go back and make up with her and do better this time. We get it already. Stop babbling about your wife. I think after a while, I just had enough. And the Japanese woman as well. I mentioned the Japanese woman who works in JASA, or JASA. The astronaut who goes up to the space station, that was her girlfriend. And they were in love. And this show never stopped telling us about how in love they were, how deep their love was, and how much she misses her girlfriend who may or may not be still alive on the space station. And after a while, and we started up another 10-minute sequence of her going on and on about, oh, my girlfriend, Hinata, poetry, and looking at videos of her girlfriend, and on and on and on. After a while, I'm like, all right, Annette, we get it. You're in love with Hinata, and you're worried about her. But man, can we get back to the aliens? Please, we know we've had enough of your love and the poetry. It's like, oh, come on. Can we give it a rest? It went on and on and on. Every character had personal trauma. They all had stuff they had to deal with, either a girlfriend who was dead or alive, a man trying to get back with his wife where he made mistakes in his marriage. And then we've got kids who have abusive parents, and on and on and on. Everybody's got trauma. Everybody's got stuff to overcome. So after a while, I was like, all right, we get it. We don't need any more of that. Can we get back to the aliens, please? But when they get to the aliens, I'm like, this is amazing. And I'll put up with the human drama. So we get the alien story. So I can see somebody not liking the show if they start watching it and they think they're going to get Will Smith, blasting the aliens and punching an alien and knocking the alien unconscious with a Will Smith one-liner. You're not going to get a lot of that. You're going to get grounded human level stuff. And normal human life, to be honest, 90% of it is pretty boring stuff. Just trivia, day-to-day stuff. And a lot of the show tries to establish that tone. So I can see people not liking it, but I thought it was amazing. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to season 2, season 3. I've got some ideas of what I hope will happen, and I watched the first part of episode 1, and a few things happened at the very beginning of episode 1 of season 2 that I did not like at all. I was like, what the heck is this? It was just really weird from a tone point of view and a storytelling and a character perspective. I was like, this is where season 2 is starting? I thought, oh man, they blew it. They really, really blew it. But I'm hoping they'll recover. I've seen some hints here and there, online discussions that, okay, they're going to get back on track. So I think it's going to be okay. So I'm looking forward to season 2. So that is Invasion, Planet Doug pop culture recommendation for right now. Yeah, I quite like it. For you, depends on your tastes. Give it a try, see what you think. You might like it, you might not. But that is what I'm watching right now. One last section, I guess, because I do have some notes here. I don't normally do this, but recently, for whatever reason, I stumbled across a few upcoming movies, like trailers for new movies coming up, and TV shows maybe. And I thought they looked really, really good. Really good. Entertaining, funny, exciting, dramatic. So the very first one is called Project Hail Mary. I think the trailer made a big splash. It's all over YouTube right now. Ryan Gosling, and it's a space story, an astronaut, aliens, all this kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. It looks really good. From what I watched the whole trailer, and now I wish I didn't, because a lot of people are saying, well, it's based on a book series or a book, and they're saying, oh, why did they give it away in the trailer? I guess there's a big reveal in the book. Something incredible happens, and they show it in the trailer. So now it's part of the movie, and people are saying, they shouldn't have given that away. They should have kept that a secret. So now I know that that's coming. But anyway, Project Hail Mary looks pretty cool. Looks fun, looks exciting, looks interesting. Coming out in 2025. I think it's a Norwegian or Danish, I'm not sure. I can't remember. I saw an official teaser for Troll 2. And I loved the original movie, Troll. I think it's a movie. Yeah, it's a movie. And it's one of these, it's either from, like I said, Norway or Denmark. I can't remember. Maybe Norway. I think it's Norwegian. And it was like one of these discoveries I made. I just stumbled across this weird thing called Troll. And I thought, what the heck is this? And I watched it, and I just loved it. It's based in mythology, like Norwegian mythology, about these trolls. And we're not talking about the troll living under a bridge. We're talking about trolls that are the size of mountains, like entire mountains. And you're looking at a mountain and taking pictures of it, and then suddenly that entire mountain range just starts moving and stretching, and it turns into a troll, like kaiju. What are the giant Japanese monsters? One of those, a kaiju or Godzilla, bigger than Godzilla, I think. And it's a funny movie. It's a exciting movie, suspenseful. Anyway, it's quirky as well. It's just a weird film, Troll, and I remember enjoying it very much. And they're coming out with Troll 2. And when you think ahead to what a sequel would be, kind of what they have to do in order to up the ante. And I watched the teaser, and I'm pretty sure I know what they're going to do. It's a bit cheap, but at the same time, I'm fine with it. I think what they do is the main troll from the first movie, who we turned out was kind of a nice guy, is not an evil monster. But now to give him something to do, I think they have to come up with the evil troll. So we're going to have like a battle between humans with the good troll, and then there's going to be like a bad troll, and they're going to have to fight or something. But I'm hoping they'll keep the same sort of quirky, low light humor and mythology and good characters, all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to Troll 2. I saw a trailer for something called Sketch, which looks interesting. A young girl's sketchbook falls into a pond, and she drew all these weird creatures in her notebook. And I guess in the movie you do get the idea that this girl has tapped into something real, and that all these things she's drawing do exist, like magical, perhaps dangerous, perhaps not dangerous creatures. And then her sketchbook falls into a magical pond, and all of these creatures leach out of her notebook drawings into the water, and then all these creatures come to life, and we have a big adventure. So that looks intriguing to me, something called Sketch. Could be a children's movie, I don't know. Looked pretty serious though, so maybe it's an adult film. And I saw a trailer for something called Heads of State. It looks goofy, it looks dumb, looks actiony, looks funny, so I'll enjoy it. So it's got John Cena playing the President of the United States, and Idris Elba playing the Prime Minister of the UK, and it's a buddy action hero. So I'm sure they come up with some weird, convoluted plot that makes no sense at all, but they somehow force the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of the UK to buddy up as action heroes and fight the bad guys, like kung fu, hand-to-hand combat, shooting, bombs, the whole 9 yards. Like normally, of course, the president is in the bunker at the White House. He's not out there fighting the bad guys. But of course, in this movie, that's what they're going to be doing. So it looks fun. Heads of State. And I saw 3 other things. There's something called Bookish, which is a British TV series, I think, about some book owners who solve crimes. That looked very interesting to me as well. I guess it was, it won awards at some conference somewhere. And then I saw something called Sight, I don't know anything about it. That's all I have in my notes. Sight. I saw the official trailer for 2025, but apparently I liked it enough that I made a note about it. So those are the things I made notes about. Project Hail Mary, Troll 2, Sight, Sketch, Heads of State, Bookish, and something called Roof Man, starring Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst. That also looked good to me. I don't know anything about it at this point. I can't remember. Anyway, that's the end of the Pop Culture Roundup. And so that is it for another Planet Doug behind the scenes podcast. Morning coffee with Doug, though we've stretched into the afternoon because I've been talking for so long once again. Yeah, what kind of topics did I encounter? Or did I go over? Planet Doug drama. Yeah, being sick, taking brand new antibiotics, which I'm really excited about. Getting my visa extension. That was very exciting. There was another Planet Doug drama story that I've already forgotten. What did I talk about? Oh yeah, monetizing Planet Doug behind the scenes. And then I talked about Planet Doug video, going to Carnival, GoPro video and 360 video. That was very exciting. And I also talked about technology. I finally figured out how and why the GPU in my laptop is working. That was a big victory on my part. I wrote a lot about that. And then we got American Hobo, who's in Kuala Lumpur right now. If you see him on the street, say hi from Planet Doug. Maybe he's on his bicycle trying to ride around KL. I'm looking forward to when he posts his video. And then Let's Go Cycling here in Sumatra. I'm looking forward to more of his videos. I'm very curious if he ever mentions how he got his visa extension and how he's going to be leaving the country. I think he's going to be taking a boat to Kalimantan. So he's going to take a boat with his bike from maybe Sumatra, maybe from Java to Borneo. And then when he's on the island of Borneo, half of the island is Kalimantan, which is Indonesia, and then maybe before his visa expires, he can cross the border into Sabah or Sarawak, into Malaysia, and then he can get a 90-day entry social visit pass for Malaysia. So maybe that's logistically how he's handling his trip. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Sunny in Afghanistan, highly recommend that video. It's so much fun, amazing food, but dangerous looking food. And then Pop Culture Roundup, Invasion, the main thing that I was talking about, and then all the upcoming movies. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it a little bit. I'm sure the video doesn't look great because I'm still using my GoPro Hero 12 in a dark room with this ugly wall behind me, but that's the easiest way for me to do it. But hopefully the audio is good enough. You don't have to look at the screen while I'm talking. You can just have this video playing in the background, have it as audio only. Yeah, so hopefully it fits into your life in some way or other. So that's it. Thanks for hanging out with me, of course. Planet Doug, there should be more Sumatra travel videos there coming up. Planet Doug Patreon, little bits and bobs there, things that I'm thinking about, and come back here from time to time for the next Planet Doug Behind the Scenes podcast. And I'll see you in the next one.